This is the March 17th meeting of the RTM Rules and Ordinances Committee. It's a regularly scheduled meeting. We will begin at 7:05. We are waiting for one of our members who has not arrived yet, but
There he is.
Oh, he's here? Good.
He's walking in.
So, good, we'll proceed. A couple of housekeeping things. Number one, that this meeting is being recorded, and you can listen to it. You can listen to it on BCTV in maybe 3 or 4 days. It'll be posted on BCTV if you want to listen to it. Secondly, if there were a lot of discussion in our last meeting from the floor, and we'd like to please ask you not to speak out from the floor, counter anything that's being said by a presenter or by the committee. If you wish to speak after we've, at the appropriate time, after we've done our deliberations, we will ask you to raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Come forward, you'll sit at the table, identify yourself, and you can speak your piece about the topic. I presume most of you are here for the leaf blower topic on our agenda, which is the last of the 4 items on the agenda tonight. So with that said, I'll begin with a call to order and a roll call. Richard?
Yeah. So my front door leaving on time and 24 ounces of hot coffee spills on my floor. I apologize. All righty. John Hartwell. Here. Richard Jennings here. Susan Dayhill.
Here.
Sean Kelly.
Here.
Ralph Murray.
Here.
Trish Anderson.
Here.
Peter Henschel.
Here. Thank you. Next item is the approval of meeting minutes. We had a special meeting, so we didn't approve the previous meeting's minutes, and we have 2, one on January 20th and one on February 26th, which I think everybody should have received at this point. Do I have any comments or changes to those?
No.
Do I have a motion that we accept them?
So moved to accept.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. I apologize. The room has a PA system, but it's non-functional, and unfortunately, that means we don't have any microphones. And I'm trying to speak up as loudly as I can, but I apologize if some of you can't hear at this point. So the first item on the agenda to consider is to consider and if appropriate recommend the establishment of an administrative town ordinance to create a traffic authority as allowed under Connecticut General Statute 7-149D to assume the powers and duties related to traffic currently held by the Board of Police Commissioners. This item we established in our last meeting a working group of Dan Edelman, Representative Edelman, Representative Verderam, both of the majority and minority leaders of the RTM, and myself. Representative Edelman is here, and I'll ask him first to just give a report of what we've been able to accomplish between the last meeting and tonight. Dan?
I'm Dan Edelman, and I'm on the subcommittee regarding the traffic authority. The reason that ex officio is myself and Representative Verderam are joining Chairman Henschel on this committee is the abundance of work that's come to R&O. And since we are ex officios, we're able to serve on that, so that's how we got appointed. We had a quick, maybe half-hour or so Zoom meeting initially after this commission approved, this board approved looking into the item. It was more organizational than anything else about what duties we're going to do, what assignments we'll assign to each one on the subcommittee. Some issues we discussed were whether it's going to be a traffic authority or a traffic commission. We looked at some other towns that have employed a traffic authority or a traffic commission and have some templates of their ordinances in those towns. We decided we're going to first establish or incorporate a table of contents in this ordinance, which we have done in other ordinances that the town has passed that are actually not present in some of the other ordinances for other towns that we've looked at. We're going to delineate the powers of the commission, whether that's regulated just what state statute says we can do, if there are other things we can do that don't exceed the authority granted by the state statute. We talked about who the commissioners would be, not individuals, but from what ranks of individuals that would be selected to be on that commission, whether it's ex officio members, what the qualifications would be, how they'd be appointed or nominated, whether we want to balance a party affiliation on that, the terms of the appointment, whether it would be staggered or not, and how the chairman of the committee would be, the regulation would be, what type of term that he or she would have. We also talked about speed cameras and whether or not the authority for speed cameras would be something that would be contained in this proposed ordinance, or if that's something that state statute, which discusses it, would also control. So it was just organizational. We divvied up these topics among the three of us as to whom would do which particular item. The good news that really is the most substantive that I can bring to everyone today is that we don't anticipate this proposal to take long to bring to the R&O committee for approval and eventually send to the full RTM to see whether or not it gets approved or not. So that's what I got. Just a very quick half-hour organizational meeting amongst us. We will work it.
Great, thank you, Representative
Thank
Edelman.
you.
So
Appreciate
just a bit of background on this. This was originally brought to the RTM and to our committee through a recommendation by the first selectman, Josh Brooks. It is an action that the police chief is in favor of, moving this authority out of the police commission and into a separate authority or commission. So I think that everybody in town administratively is on board with making this type of change. We did decide, I think in our conversations and previously, that the whole question of traffic cameras was a separate issue, would not be incorporated into the ordinance or the creation of the authority itself, and would have to be taken up by that authority once they're in place and brought back to the RTM for a public approval of that. So that's basically where that stands. I would entertain a motion for re-referral on this.
Referral motion.
Second. Everybody in favor of re-referring this, asking for referral? All right, so that's unanimous. The second item on the agenda is to consider and if appropriate recommend that the RTM designate the road known as Jefferson Place in Branford as designated as a town road as petitioned by the adjacent property owners. Again, we have a working group that's been established to look into this. The working group is Richard Jennings, Sean Kelly, and myself. As we discussed previously, one of the prerequisites to our making a recommendation to the RTM to accept this was that the actual boundaries of what would be accepted as a town road be defined legally to make sure that there were no issues with that. So the first selectman graciously extended the purse of the town to have that survey done and that title search done and bring the results back to the committee. That is in process. I don't have any current feedback on how quickly we might anticipate getting that back. Hopefully by the next meeting we may get some feedback, but until pending getting that back, the committee really will take no action or have further discussion on this issue because that really is the key to moving forward. So again, with that said, I would request that we re-refer this to the
Motion to re-refer.
motion. Second?
Second.
Everybody in favor of re-referral?
Aye.
Thank you. So the third item tonight is to consider, if appropriate, recommend the establishment of a town ordinance to allow a senior property tax freeze for certain qualified senior Branford homeowners. Again, this was instituted by a letter from the first selectman to the RTM and to our committee. We have a working group established of Tricia Anderson, John Hartwell, and myself. And I will ask for a report from Representative Hartwell on where things stand with our subcommittee.
Thank you, Peter. So
the town currently has 3 senior tax programs already in place, and in fact, we are within the time frame for people to make applications to be included in those programs. One of them is state mandated, which is the lowest level of it. The next one up focuses on veterans and Gold Star families. That has a higher income range that you can use to qualify for it. And the third program is actually a deferral program where if you qualify, you can defer paying the taxes until the house is sold. And that's sort of like taking out a second mortgage, with the town being the second mortgage person and putting a lien on the property. So there are 3 programs currently in place. We are considering the possibility of a 4th program, which would freeze taxes at a certain level and stay at that level going forward. And we, as the working group, have started looking at other towns around the state which have programs which are similar. There are several who are doing this now. The state actually had something in place years ago that it went away. We have to look at what are the qualifications that people would have to meet in order to be part of a new program. The current programs have very clear qualifications, and you can find those on the town website. 2 of the programs are administered through the assessor's office. That's the lowest level one, and the one for Gold Star and veterans. The tax deferment program, referral program, let's see, what's the right word here? Deferral, thank you. Deferral. The tax deferral program is administered by the tax collector directly. And all of those programs are open for enrollment until the 15th of May. So that's sort of a baseline of what's happening or what has happened. The 3 of us are looking into various aspects of what's going on. We have interviewed the town assessor, Paula. She's very happy to help us sort through the various parameters of a program like that. And then we're going to sit down with the tax collector, Bob Imperato. So that's on our schedule. We'll also be making, as a result of this, I'm going to be working with some other people and with the first selectman to make a video about the current program so that those are more widely known. And through that, we'll also be talking with people to find out what their experience has been. And we're trying basically to find a program, if we need a 4th program, who it is that would benefit and why they're not being covered by something now, and what it would take for them to be in or out of the program. And then once we start to look at those parameters, we have to then think about how is this going to impact the other taxpayers in the town, because they're, if someone's not paying taxes and the budget goes up, someone else is going to pick it up. So the question then is, how much is that going to cost? So there's always a cost-benefit analysis, and we're well away from having any kind of answers on this program. It would certainly be several months before we would have anything to bring back to the committee as a whole here, and if the committee then approves something, to take it to the RTM for final approval. So we're well away from that, but I urge anyone who knows seniors who seem to be struggling with their property taxes, because that's what this is all about. There are programs in place now. You can find out more on the town website. You are welcome, encouraged to go into the assessor's office or into the tax collector's office to take a look at what is available today. They're very happy to help you sort through what the options might be. So,
Great. Thank you, John. So does the committee have any questions for the
Not
working
yet.
group at
Not
this
at this
point?
point.
No, sir.
You're all okay?
That was a good explanation.
Good.
So I ask a motion to re-refer.
So, yeah, I would entertain a motion to re-refer this also.
Motion to re-refer.
Yes, second?
second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
So the motion is re-referred.
We'll with that then.
Which brings us to the last item on the
Call of the
agenda.
day.
Strap in, kids.
To consider and if appropriate, recommend the establishment of a town ordinance to limit the use of gas-fired leaf blowers and encourage alternatives. Again, this was sent publicly to the RTM as a request from a group of people that were interested in putting some limits on gas-fired leaf blowers. It was referred to our committee for consideration, discussion. It's obviously extremely complex and affects a lot of people in a lot of very different ways. We did establish a working group, Richard Jennings, Sean Kelly, Ralph Murray,
It's Irish either way. It's entertaining.
are on the committee, and before we get a report from the working group itself, I have received a lot of correspondence from you. This may not be a complete list, and I apologize if I have missed anybody. When you do send in correspondence, I do log it into an archival Dropbox so that everybody in the committee and in fact the public can look and see what's been submitted as letters or emails both for and against are taking this type of an action. So far, on the side of correspondence, specifically in opposition, I've gotten correspondence from Rob Sember and David Malik. Those were new ones. And I'm going to ask, I guess, which one of you is going to do the reading? Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
To read these correspondence for you, since they did request that it be read publicly.
The first one from Rob Sember. All. I hear that the town is thinking of banning gas-powered leaf blowers. Really? This is what you consider even a worthy topic of discussion? I can't think of a bigger waste of time by even thinking about this. Never mind the costs involved. What is the genesis of this in the end game? Are those of you for this just trying to be Greenwich? I bought a gas-powered leaf blower last year. Are you reimbursing me? Is the town supplying chargers to everyone who goes out and buys an inferior battery-powered leaf blower? Are the vendors of that Branford uses, ACA, required to use them? If they do, you know that added cost is just being passed on to the taxpayers. Is this a noise issue? If it is, good luck, because landscapers will just use their mowers even louder to drive around the property and blow leaves in a circle using even more gas than a leaf blower. What about their leaf vacuums on landscape trucks? Do landscapers need to buy battery-operated trucks also? What is the difference between a leaf blower and a snow blower? Or is that the next useless thought? Make this make sense. You can't. If you want to do something about a gas-powered engine in Branford, feel free to start dealing with the real problem of kids now all over town on their gas-powered bikes. No helmets and in and out of traffic on the sidewalks. Regular bikes were already a problem, but someone is going to get killed on all those gas-powered bikes. I kind of went off the rails a little.
That's okay.
I'm out of town and unable to attend this week's meeting, but hopefully smarter heads and common sense will prevail, and this issue will be put to bed. Thank you, Rob Sember.
That's double-sided, by the way.
Oh, Jesus.
It's small.
The first side of the big side.
Dear RTM board members, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Dave Malik, and I'm the owner of Clean Cut Landscaping and Hardscapes, a local business serving the Branford community. I'm writing to express my strong opposition to the proposed bill to ban gas-powered backpack blowers in our town. While I understand the growing concerns about environmental impact and noise pollution, I believe that this legislation could have several negative repercussions for our community. Here are several key reasons why I find this bill misguided. 1, impact on small businesses. As a landscaping business, gas-powered backpack blowers are essential tools that allow us to efficiently serve our clients. Banning these tools could significantly increase operational costs, potentially leading to higher prices for our services, which could reduce access for many residents, especially those with small yards or those who are budget conscious. 2, job losses and economic consequences. The landscaping industry is a vital part of Branford's economy. A ban on gas-powered equipment would not only harm small businesses like mine, but could also jeopardize jobs within the industry. Workers who rely on their positions may face layoffs or reduced hours, negatively impacting their livelihoods and families. 3, minimal environmental impact. It is important to note that modern gas-packed boilers have been seen significant advancements in emission control technology. Many of these tools are designed to meet stringent environmental standards, resulting in reduced emissions compared to older models. Additionally, the usage time for gas-powered equipment is significantly shorter than the total hours they operate. As a result, the overall environmental impact of using gas-powered boilers is minimal, especially when compared to the energy-intensive life cycles of electric alternatives, such as battery production, shipping, and disposal. Considerations regarding electric alternatives. While electric backpack boilers may seem like a viable alternative, the practicality is limited by several factors. The initial investment cost for electric equipment is typically much higher than gas-powered models. For small and medium-sized businesses, this cost can be a significant barrier. Additionally, electric blowers typically have shorter run times due to battery limitations, which can lead to increased labor hours. The need to recharge batteries mid-job would reduce productivity and increases operational costs. 5, environmental impact of lithium batteries. Although electric equipment is often marketed as more environmentally friendly, the production and disposal of lithium batteries poses significant environmental challenges. The mining process for lithium can have detrimental effects on local ecosystems, and many batteries are not disposed of properly, leading to further environmental damage. Without a comprehensive recycling program for these batteries, the environmental footprint of electric alternatives could be more substantial than that of the gas-powered blowers they replace. 6, quality of work. It's also important to note that gas-powered blowers often provide a level of power and efficiency that electric models may struggle to match, particularly for larger properties or heavy-duty tasks. For those jobs, electric blowers may not deliver the desired results, leading to inadequately maintained landscapes. This could negatively impact property values and community pride, as well as the overall satisfaction of our clients. In light of these points, I urge the board to reconsider the implications of the proposed legislation and explore alternative solutions that address environmental concerns without jeopardizing the livelihoods of local businesses like mine. Thank you for your attention to this important issue. I welcome the opportunity to discuss this matter further and collaborate in finding a solution that works for everyone in our community. Best regards, Dave Malley.
Thank you. So in addition to those recent emails to the committee, we have received also correspondence, obviously, from many of you who are proponents of taking some form of action, and we're not going to read those tonight. They actually were received earlier, during earlier meetings, but we have had correspondence from Gordon Hutchinson, Greg Ames, Lauren Brown, Lee Sloan, Nancy Mancini, Roberta Blake, Vince Giordano, and Richard Shanahan, among others. And those, again, all of these emails are posted and available if anybody really would like to pull them up and look at them. If you are interested in accessing any of our files, you can email me and I will give you a login link so that you can take a look at the documents that we have filed during this study. So next I'm going to ask for a report from Richard Jennings on who is a member of the working group looking into this. And that will be after Richard is finished with giving you an update on what the subcommittee has done. We have available tonight 2 landscape firms who have successfully transitioned to battery-powered leaf blowers. They are online in a Zoom contact and waiting after we get a report from Richard. I'll pull it up on the screen and let each one of them share with you a little bit of their experience with making that transition. So Richard?
All right, so wave your hands if you can't hear me. So we were charged with several tasks at the last meeting. One is to find companies that have successfully transitioned, and we're going to hear from them. Interview town officials.
Excuse me, Richard, perhaps it would be better if you stood up, because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very hard to hear you back there.
Thank you. Interview town officials. So I've been able to interview 3 towns, especially Peter wanted to know about enforcement, who is going to enforce these ordinances if they're passed. So every town is struggling with that. One has the police responding. One just gives a written ordinance, a written letter. 2 of the towns give a warning and then a $250 fine. But none of those towns have issued a fine yet, and they've been in play for 1 to 2 years, depending on that. So it was kind of fun listening to their tales of woe. So also to compare the 6 the towns, so I made up a table. So some of the things that we've spoken about, one was modifying gas leaf blowers for commercial and not homeowners, or both. So every town that's passed an ordinance has passed it for both homeowners and commercial. Was that helpful?
That's just for the,
Just
Oh,
following.
for that, great. 3 out of the 5 towns just modified their noise ordinance. The most restrictive non-use is May 15th to October 15th for the summer. Norwalk has a month after the summer and a month before the spring where you can use gas leaf blowers, but you can't over the winter. I already talked about the fines. No town has offered rebates at this point. And let me switch back to my. And then no town has eliminated, somebody brought up the point, well, gas, 2-stroke engines are bad, why not ban all of them? His point was, don't ban any of them, but no town has banned any use other than the gas-powered leaf blowers. The state has included lawn trimmers, push lawn mowers, and leaf blowers in their bill that they're trying to get passed. And then the safety of lithium batteries versus 2-stroke fuel. My early research shows that lithium batteries are safer overall in terms of causing fires.
I got a question on that one right there.
wait,
Not
let's
yet.
not have any comments.
It's not, we haven't concluded that yet, just the early research. And then the cost of batteries, and the presenters are going to cover that. And then how to charge during the day. How do you keep the workforce out doing their job as, for an 8 or 10-hour day?
Can you move up a little closer to us? We can't hear. Stand in the middle over here. Transfer station per down with lithium batteries.
Richard, if you stand by the center microphone
this
there,
mic?
we'll pick it up. That won't be for the audience, but for a recording.
What was that? I didn't hear what somebody said
The
something.
transfer station had a fire.
Let's not have any conversation, please, from the audience. Let the presenters speak. And you will have an opportunity if you want to speak at the end of the meeting.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And part of the state legislation has a buyback program that was in effect in 2010. They're going to if that bill passes, it's going to reinstitute that, and also a loan program. So that'll deal with the capital costs, and our presenters will also cover that, I presume. Did you get to check the noise ordinance?
Yeah. So the noise ordinance, again, what the town has, and that's why I got the big book, because I'm kind of need big pictures. Nighttime hours, hours between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. Sunday evening through Saturday morning, except that quote night shall mean the hours between 10 p.m. Saturday and 9 a.m. on Sunday. So basically, nobody's running anything certain times. The other thing was noise from domestic power equipment, such as but not limited to power saws, sanders, grinders, lawn and garden tools, or similar devices operated during the daytime hours. So they have the decibel, the noise exceptions. Again, the report that we have here, Greenwich has Monday through Friday, 3 to 9 a.m. are the limits. Westport, daytime only. Norwalk, daytime only. Ridgefield, Washington, daytime only. Again, I don't think that we have anybody that's not following noise procedures, noise ordinances. At least I haven't heard of anybody.
What is the decibel level?
The decibel level is 80? No. 104, 100 to 104 is the noise metric for gas powered.
No, but in the noise ordinance, there's a maximum
Oh,
allowable
yeah, I'm sorry.
decibel.
Industrial is 62, commercial is 55, residential 55 during the day. Now, again, there's exceptions to that as well. But we're not, again, we're trying to figure out what, if we're going off of what these other towns are doing. They got daytime only. Like I said, the two contractors I spoke to, they're not working before certain hours, not working after certain hours. So they're staying within the noise ordinance of the town of Branford. So they're in that kill zone there. Again, we could also, if we wanted to get into it, shall be calibrated. These machines are set up pretty much the way they come out of the shop. So the calibration is already in there. That's really all I have for the noise ordinances, because it pretty much states what the hours are, which is that's what we go by.
I forgot to thank Bob Reinwald, who gave his time to analyze the steel comparison between gas and leaf blowers. It was very helpful.
So just a point to make here relative to noise. We know that the current noise ordinance in Branford is pretty ineffectual for a couple of reasons. One is the police department does not want to enforce it, even though they have the power to do that, and they have the equipment to do that. They really don't want to get into that workload. And so if we were to address leaf blowers from a noise point of view only, then I think we would probably want to look at changing the noise ordinance. We'd have to look at enforcement procedures. We probably would want to use time restrictions a little bit more stringently as a way of avoiding the need to, actually take noise readings, et cetera. But there are some issues with our noise ordinance, and if we were to decide as a committee to use that as one of the tools, we would have to make some changes to not only the ordinance, but also the means of actually enforcing whatever was in that ordinance, et cetera. So,
Excuse me.
yes.
Did you say Bob Durano sent something, comparison? What is the comparison?
Oh, well, his summary was, it's like telling somebody that your moped is a Harley Davidson. It's a good line.
Excuse me, I was the one that said that, and it's like telling somebody, buying a moped and telling them you got a Harley Davidson.
Right.
Because, and I don't know if you sent that, what I sent you, if you sent it to the rest of the board to read, you enlightened me how bad it is. That, just because you brought my name up, the battery operated, he did the thing last month. The battery operated, what he was talking about, was literally at the low speed. You put it at the high speed, equal to a backpack blower. The noise is almost the same. The battery power drops down to 61 minutes on each battery. So the amount of batteries that you have to run it for a day is ridiculous.
Okay,
And I-
we'll-
You brought my name up.
I know, and that's why I allowed you to speak.
But I'd
but
like all of you to get that, what I sent you.
We'll let you come up when the appropriate time, and you can further on what you were going to say, but right for now, that's fine to respond, and I'd like to go on with the committee part of the
Yep.
meeting, and we can take it from there. Richard, do you have anything else? Okay, so the next thing is we do have two firms, Nelson Munoz from Cultural Lawns and Dan Delventhal, I think is the way you pronounce it, from Mo Green. They are both online. I'm going to connect you all, and they're going to give you some of their experiences with actual use of battery-powered equipment.
Down here?
Local guys?
Where are they from?
They will explain to you where the businesses are. They're not Branford firms at this point.
It has nothing to do with us then.
Yeah, it does. This is just to get information on firms that have used this type of equipment. But please, I would like you not to respond from the audience while this is going on.
Businesses. And they capitalized, they were energy capitalized on those towns.
You're gonna put the television so that they can see it, or just you guys?
That's a good point.
We pull this back a little bit.
Yeah, move it back. We're okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Wait, we need, the committee has to see it too. We're going to turn it in this direction, so,
I can hear it.
thank you. Okay, so, Dan and Nelson, can you hear us at this point? Nelson, I think you're muted.
Yes. Yes, I can hear.
Okay, let me see.
you
if I
turn that
the
volume up?
Volume up.
Just shut it off, we don't care.
Can you try to speak again so I can check the volume? Will you please be quiet in the audience? Go ahead. Dan?
Thank you. Dan Delventhal, Mo Green, can you hear me now?
No.
Okay.
It's coming.
Yes, thank you. So, Dan, if you could just give us a little, first of all, a little background on your company, where you're located, et cetera, and then give us some insight into your transition or your use of battery-powered equipment.
Thank you. I appreciate the chance to be here. Mo Green has been in business for 20 years, and we use no gas-powered leaf blowers. And we do about 60 acres a week. We don't use any gas-powered anything, actually. We're all electric. And we have a good business. People really appreciate the lack of health risk with all the toxins from gas-powered equipment, as well as the peace and quiet. The low-frequency noise is very disturbing and creates health impacts. So we were spread far and wide. We were in too many towns. Now, we only focus on Westport, Fairfield, Bridgeport, and Weston, and we do go into the Yale community. So we have a couple days of work in the East Rock neighborhood and surrounding area in New Haven as well. So we do about $750,000 a year. Our customers are happy. The leaves management with electric blowers, lawn maintenance with electric blowers has been viable for years. Towns have been enacting ordinances primarily for health impact, health risk reasons to workers and to bystanders for years, since 2018. And the arguments have been the same since 2018. Oh, electric's not ready, but the bottom line is, it does a great job, and it's a viable alternative to something that is so toxic, that is so damaging to health. And I can speak more about that, but I won't. So that's the introduction to the company. We have about 150 customers we serve regularly, and we have all kinds of customers, and even the customers who used to use traditional gas-powered lawn care, or even looking for squeaky clean lawns, they're happy too. So I'll let Nelson check in.
Hi everyone, my name is Nelson Munoz. I'm a landscaper for at least 22 years, and I did my transition voluntary from gasoline into battery power equipment. I have about 200 customers here in I'm located in Stamford, Connecticut. We cover New Canaan, Darien, Norwalk, Rowayton, Greenwich, and I also cover part of Monkeys called part of Winchester. From here, from Stanford. All my crews, right now 5 crews, all of them 100% battery for lawn mowing, pruning, trimming, weed whacking, blowing. Like I says, I took over a family business. This business has been for at least 40 years on the area, and I took over in 2004. And I started gasoline equipment. Then I saw all my customers and people around here complain about the noise and the fumes, and I started finding about the fumes, and that's very risky for my guys. So I decided to do the change slowly. 7 years ago, I started with the first crew where we managed condominiums, and then from that crew we learned, and then we jumped into the other 4 crews. Actually, no 4 crews, because back then we only had 2 crews and 1 for maintenance. Right now I have 4 crews and 1 for maintenance, which is like the 5th crew. So we jump into the other crews, put all the equipment to work. We had to implement techniques in order to supplement the use of the blower, like mulching with the machines, and using automowers, like little robots that also cut the grass, and they're really quiet. So we implement a lot of stuff to complement the use of the blower, so we don't have to use it. And it's been a success. My company is growing. Like right now, we're gonna open another crew for this season. I don't regret. My guys are happy. They feel healthy now. I mean, it's a hard process, but it's something that is doable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where's the proof on the health issue?
Wait, I do not want conversation from the office. This is a committee meeting. You'll have your opportunity to speak. This is not a public discussion at this point, please. Okay?
You can't back it up, that's why. Where's his batteries? Over to you.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave if you keep talking.
5 crews.
Okay?
Back it up.
We'll get there.
So what we're going to do next is I'm going to go around to the committee members. I've asked them to prepare some questions for these 2 businesses relating to a variety of issues that have been brought up by the public and by the committee working group. Susan, do you want to start from?
Sure, I would love to hear more about.
Wait. We got to share this microphone. This
I forgot,
microphone
yeah.
is what they're listening to. So
That's what they're listening to? I would like to hear a little bit more about what you were just saying, about, you said something about you're using things without the noise. I was wondering what specific, like you have blowers, you have lawnmowers, what other equipment are we talking about here?
Now, that question is for me, right?
Yes,
Or that?
Mr. Munoz, yes.
Okay, yes. So, like I said, I've been using all kind of equipment, gasoline equipment, ride-on blowers, push blowers, vacuums, all this stuff for years. So I had to kind of do a new system in order to replace those blowers. So instead of using blower, what we do is we have like a battery lawnmowers, commercial battery lawnmowers. They give us like about 8-hour cutting time.
8 hours, okay.
What happened?
Yep, I lost you.
Equipment, what we did is we put mulching kits. So on the fall, we mulch the leaves instead of piling them up or taking away from the property. We don't take in anything. I have gasoline vacuum that hasn't been used for the last 5 years. because now we don't take in anything from the properties besides big branches or trunks that we have to remove. All the leaves stay there, we mulch in place, we don't pipe, we just use those machines to do that. And the backpack blowers, the battery backpack blowers that we have, we use it just to go around the house and blow into the lawn, wherever leaves is there. Machines, they know about insects in the leaves, so they allow us to leave the leaves on the gardens, and then we do the cleanups after May, after all those insects are hatching or after winter time. So we change a lot, we do a lot of techniques in order to using the blowers. Because we don't have, what they say is correct. In the market right now, is no blower that is powerful. It's no battery blower.
Oh, did it just cut out when he was about to say that?
I don't want to hear this guy.
And it's moving fast. Right now, we used to do, in the fall time, we used to do, it's now because we just don't buy it, we just mulch it and everything.
Do you have another question?
And then we use like,
No, I'll let somebody else.
battery powered equipment is lawn mowers, trimmers. Trimmers everybody's been using for years, trimmers, because when you do bush pruning, or to trim the bush, the shrubs, with battery is better because they don't burn it, they don't burn the leaves. So I guess many landscapers already using those battery trimmers or shrubs. But like it says, my business this year made $1.2 million on income, and it's growing. I'm feel happy, we're doing very well. I'm happy to teach everybody that wants to know how to work with it. Thank you.
Very generous.
Richard, you want to ask a question?
So the worry I hear most is the capital cost of switching from gas to battery operated will put people out of business. So you just kind of did one blower at a time?
Did he hear you?
Did he hear me?
Oh, I didn't hear him, so.
Yeah, I can address. Oh, you want to hear from Nelson on that?
Oh, anybody?
Okay, I'll address the cost. Yes, the investment is higher to equip yourself to be able to blow a normal amount of time. Most studies, like Steel, a company that makes both gas-powered and electric-powered machines, blowers, and other things, they estimate that people use blowers about 500 hours per year. And so the cost, when you look at the cost of getting, let's say, a powerful commercial gas blower, it's about 600, maybe 700, and that's expected to last about 3 years. There's oil involved and maintenance involved, and Steel estimates, based on Steel's estimates in 2 different studies that looked at it, it costs about $3.50 an hour to operate one of these things, counting the oil and the maintenance on top of the gas at about 89 octane. Comparatively speaking, it's about 50 cents an hour to charge batteries to run a commercial electric blower during that time. So the math is pretty simple. When you calculate how many, the purchase price of the electric blower and the batteries and the chargers, so that you can operate on average half a day all year round, then you may invest as much as $4,000. Let's make it $5,000. Well, that's an investment that is recovered. So I'm using the word investment because it's not a cost. You recover the cost of transitioning. Now, if you have to buy a new blower and you transition into electric, that's a good thing. It's easier because you're not augmenting a gas-powered blower or salvaging it. But when you analyze 500 hours of use and a $3 an hour savings, you actually recover $1,500 per year. So, yes. The crux of the matter is the investment to transition, not the actual cost. because it costs less per hour to own and operate an electric blower. So if you invest $5,000 and you get set up electrically with the chargers and batteries, you will recover that within, let's say, 3 years, and then 5 years into it, you will have a positive return on investment.
Yeah, Richard, you have another question?
And then how do you, the other question that comes up frequently is your workforce is out there. How do you keep the batteries charged for an 8-10 hour day?
Yes, in our case, 99% of our customers, when we point out that it costs 10 to 15 cents per battery to charge them, they all say, go ahead and charge them in our outlets. So Mo Green we just charge at our customers' outlets.
Gentlemen, sir, excuse me. Give me a second, all right? We're trying to help you guys. You're not wait.
Funny, you gotta laugh.
I understand that, but there's also stuff over top of it. We're trying to get through this. We're gonna give you guys a time to speak. Please. I know if it's funny, fine, laugh at it, but it's when all the other stuff start getting said. We're trying to help you guys with this, believe me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody has to say it all out. Whoever wants to speak.
Let's please not have any more comments. Go on, Richard.
Yeah, well, how long, so you're using a home outlet to recharge?
Yes, and let me clarify a little bit. There are, in Nelson's case, I think half his customers don't really want him to use their outlets to charge batteries. And everybody who's in the camping, RV space, and electric lawn care, or even food truck production, they're carrying around a big spare battery, and it's mobile charging. So you can have a big battery at your vehicle with an inverter, and you can charge batteries right off of that at your vehicle. In our case, we had them. As a matter of fact, I have electric lawnmowers. I have more than I need, and so I take the batteries right out of the lawnmowers, put them on the vehicle, connect an inverter, and I'm charging batteries off there. I just don't need them that often. In the fall, it's nice to have for us. It's convenient. Now, in Nelson's case, he takes his out more often, probably with more than one crew. But that's a common item as well. Those, so typically your electric blowers and batteries, commercial electric blowers and batteries, may have a 5-year lifespan. The mobile charging batteries with inverters, they're closer to 10-year lifespans. So if you don't want to charge at your customers' outlets and you want to be charging, you bring some spare batteries, but if you want to be equipped to charge batteries in the field to make sure you don't miss a minute of time on demand for blowing, then you would bring out a big spare battery and inverter. And so if you look at that investment, you would spread that out over 10 years, but it's still another upfront investment. So you might invest $5,000, anywhere from $3,000 to $7,500 in a mobile backup battery charging capability.
Any more questions? Okay.
So now, if you did that, you would allocate another, let's say, $3,500 to a blower. That's a little extreme, but if you allocated another $3,500 to an investment of $5,000, getting the very best with spare batteries that could run all day, yeah, well then you're kind of over-calculating it. But I try to be conservative. I try to make cost recovery calculations beyond reproach. Well, let's say you have $7,500 into it. If you're saving $1,500 a year, then it is going to take 6 years to recover the cost. 5 years, and maybe a 5-year cost recovery period.
Thank you. Dan, John Hartwell has some questions for you.
Thank you, Dan and Nelson. So if, Nelson, you say that you're going to stand up a new crew this year, adding on one. How many people on the crew? How much money is it going to cost you to set up that crew? How many hours a day are they going to work?
Yeah. So in the crew that every crew that I set up, I spend around $45,000 in equipment. It's gonna be a crew of 2 people. So they only gonna be carrying a pickup truck with a ramp rack on it, 48 inches of lawnmower battery, commercial. And they go out with 20 batteries a day. Plus, they have a system that's called Chargewood that charges the batteries on the go. They start from around 7:30. They come to the job by 8 a.m. They leave and they come back by 6 p.m. every day. But yeah, the minimum cost is $45,000 for a crew of two guys.
You're talking about going all electric. I don't know if that's the actual topic.
Yes, that's my team is all electric. So we have the ride-on machine, we have the push mower, 2 trimmers, 2 wood whackers, and then we carry around 20 batteries on the brand that they will have it on that. Some brands that I've been trying all kind of brands. I have from Makita to Steel, and actually I still have them because every crew has different brands. Because I've been trying different brands until I find out which ones are the best. I did find it. Backpack batteries are the best to use because you don't have to carry that many amount of batteries. You can in one backpack battery is like you carrying 10 batteries. Those backpack batteries, some brands right now are giving you up to 4 hours of working time on summer. In the fall, is 1.5. $1.5. $1,600, $1,800.
I'm sorry, Nelson, we lost you there for a moment. Could you go back? You were saying that in the summer, you have one level of usage of the battery, and then in the fall, it seems to have been much less. Can you pick up there again, please?
No, but it's backwards. On the summer, it's when you use less battery because you don't blow in that much. So we have in these backpack batteries, which is about 1,500 ampere hours. They replace around 10 batteries of 10 ampere hours, around that much. So you can work up to 4 hours. Property with those big batteries, you can work 4 hours on summer. You don't need to blow too much. In the fall, when you need to blow, one battery is gonna last you anywhere. I mean, if you're using the small batteries from Eagle, comes with most of the equipment they sell, you're looking at 23 minutes maximum. But when you're using these backpack batteries that is good to use in many other equipment, you can be looking at 1.5 to 2 hours on full, continue blowing, high speed blowing. So my cruise goes out. That's an equipment for a crew too.
So, but
Just for the machines, doesn't include the truck or that.
right, but when you say a crew, you're talking about with ride-on mowers and push mowers, et cetera. Really, we're only focused here on
Blowers.
leaf blowers. So in order to equip 2 people to work your 10-hour day, you said from 8 in the morning to 6 at night, 2 people just for the blowers. Let's talk about in the time of year when they're not as useful, when the battery life is less. How much would it cost to put up a new crew with just the leaf blowers working in the fall when it's cold?
Yes. Well, happens to be that the blower is the most machine used on the cruise, and it's the most machine that uses more battery time. So you're looking at minimum 2 blowers with their respective batteries. You are looking at least $5,000 per each blower, so it's $10,000 in blowers. That includes the day, and then you need a charging system that is another $5,000. So we're talking very easy to $15,000 for crew, just on blower, just to use two blowers.
Sorry? You want to ask Dan the
Is
same
it typical to have 2 blowers on a crew of 2?
Yes, I mean, since I've been that, this is the reason I do 2 blowers. First, for security. If something goes bad with the other blower, we at least have another one on the crew. Second, the guys can work faster. Yeah, the other one blows 1 egg. I mean, I'm doing my system the way I used to do it in gasoline. I'm really working in commercial, big places, condominiums, houses up to 25 acres. My crew of 2 guys is to cover a small suburban.
It's really clear, it's 2,000.
Yeah.
Anything over that, we use 3 crew members.
You want to ask Dan?
Nelson, there's something going on with your volume. Half of what you're saying is not audible to us.
You need it better now? But, so I was saying,
Yeah. So why don't we ask Dan a couple of questions too? This is Tricia Anderson from the committee to ask a few questions.
Where do you store all of your equipment? And
I
how,
have a,
and what kind of capacity are you in with safety, batteries, lithium, catching on fire? Or do you have any worries about that? Is there any concern with that?
well, I think anyone who handles gasoline or lithium batteries has some concern for fire safety. But studies have shown that lithium is far less likely to be a fire hazard than gasoline. And I can put together an hour presentation to cite sources and present it, and I'd be happy to do that in the near future. So I have a
Go ahead.
I have a rented.
Go ahead. I was just curious as to where you store your equipment.
Yeah, I was going to answer that question. I rent a portion of a construction company garage space. It's our own separate space. It's about 2,500 feet with some parking lot space. We store our electric mowers and blowers and trimmers and hedgers and edgers, et cetera, in that garage space.
And that's where you recharge at night for the next day?
Yes.
And how many batteries do you maintain over the day, over time? How many batteries do you own?
Yeah, we run 4 crews and we own 55 batteries. We played kind of small ball compared to, now Nelson was talking about, small batteries versus backpack batteries. It is true, if you're doing light duty blowing, and let's say summertime, you're just dispersing some grass clippings so there aren't no dead spots in the lawn, or you're dusting off a patio or a driveway. Handheld blowers with smaller batteries make sense. So we we came along that way, testing the limits of inexpensive prosumer gear. But we have pretty powerful gear today. We have, this season we used handheld blowers. 880 CFM and 1000 CFM, but a lot of individual batteries. And so, yes, we have 55 batteries. We run, 3.5 crews does the $750,000 in revenue. So that works out to be about 15 to 20 batteries per crew. They're smaller batteries, no backpack batteries per se.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do you have questions?
I don't have anything.
Hello there. Have you, since you started, have you had to raise your prices to the homeowners?
Well, in my case, I've observed prices going up every year, and in keeping with the market, Green has raised its prices every year. However, there are other typical providers who have murmured that they thought we were subsidized or something because we were still less expensive than them. So I think if you look at trends, you will see that labor service prices for lawn maintenance have been rising yearly for the past 10 or 15 years. And I check the market frequently. I think today's market range is probably 40 to 80 in the Branford area. And, you know, we are 68 per hour now. And that's perhaps a couple dollars an hour higher because we're in the Fairfield Westport area. I'm sure the folks in the room could comment on what market rates are. But I've seen people using 75, 85 an hour to calculate their maintenance prices for mowing.
Yeah, I understand that things go up in prices. My question was, when you started, when you switched over from gas to battery, did you have to raise your prices?
Our prices have never been higher than the market. And I've never changed them.
All right, thank you.
Nelson would be a good one to answer that question.
Okay.
I didn't.
Nelson, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Nelson.
No.
His battery's going.
Tell him check his plug.
No. It's
Check your plug, Nelson.
So you have Irish blood.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Now, yes.
Put the battery in.
Okay. So in my case, my transition from gasoline, I had to keep the prices at the same level. And I find out I didn't need to increase it, even though when I start with,
Somebody has to say it.
I used to pay,
He's not moving.
I was on gasoline, and I was spending about $3,700 a month in gasoline. And when I changed, I was only spending.
Can you
Rewind that.
Can you repeat that?
Say that again?
Yeah, we didn't get that.
Yeah, we didn't hear that one.
You're cutting out.
I was using gasoline equipment, right? So when I switched into battery, my base customers were there, so I had to be on the same price with them. Didn't have to increase it. I never had to increase the price. I charge based on my expenses, based on my pay. Or let's keep it just.
I think he said $300
More.
a month.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Talking about which one?
You keep breaking up, Nelson.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You get the point.
yeah.
He had charged about $300 more a month, is what he had said.
He was paying
Yeah.
$3,700 for gas,
Right.
for gas, and then $300.
Dan, your dead batteries, how often are you replacing your batteries that are like done?
Can you turn toward the mic?
How often we replace batteries?
You gotta talk in the
The
mic.
sample of them, talking about 3 seasons to 4 seasons easy with batteries. Now replace them. I have batteries that will last me 5 years. Everything depends on the maintenance. How you treat them, how you charge them.
Yeah, I'll second that. I know, Nelson, your volume is still a problem. People only get half of what you're saying. You've got to maybe try to replace that mic system. But yes, batteries, prosumer equipment has one cycle rating, meaning 800 to 1,000 charge discharge cycles. And so those are likely to, in heavy use, those are likely to last 3 or 4 years. But then the commercial batteries are typically 20% or better in terms of duty cycles. And so if you get a commercial backpack battery that's going to run anywhere from an hour or 2 with a blower, then that is likely to run 5 years.
Thank you.
We ask him some
Why don't
questions.
you ask him?
So can Nelson come back for a second?
There's something I'd like to say.
Nelson, could you go over the monthly running costs again? I think you said 3,600, was it, for gasoline? And then,
Yes.
and how much is it, what is it for running the batteries?
So now that I'm running in batteries, my cost,
Oh, Nelson, you're killing me. Nelson, we can't hear you. Tell him to write it down.
Cue cards.
We really like what you're saying, I just can't hear you.
let me use my phone.
Yeah. Do something. This can put a new battery in it. I think he's out of business. I'll trade him battery for my.
It's really interesting what they have to say. It's interesting to hear their perspective.
While Nelson connects, might I say a word or two?
Yes, go ahead.
We're rehashing the same issues that town after town are rehashing, and that is whether or not it's the government's responsibility to restrict something that's an extreme health hazard or not, and whether or not victims' rights are going to be respected like the smoking legislation of years going by. What it comes down to is the health impacts are extreme with these gas-powered leaf blowers, and towns feel compelled to legislate that because they don't want, workers are at risk, and the list is extreme, and usually these sessions, once you get serious, it involves MDs, pediatricians, citing all the issues. And the issues are, children and elderly are hit harder, the landscape workers are hit worse, bystanders are subjected to pollution that's the higher levels than busy intersections in New York City. We're talking about concentrated pollutants, and it's like secondhand smoke, but then there's ground level ozone, there's PM 2.5, these are small particles that lodge in your lungs, stay there for life. I mean, the list is extreme in terms of the health impacts, and we're not talking about nuisance noise or global warming, which those are other issues, but we're really talking about, is it compelling to protect workers and bystanders from even the noise, the low frequency noise of these machines, the gas leaf blowers, there's hearing loss. The noise itself travels farther, penetrates walls and windows. They've done studies. That low frequency noise, they've done studies, it actually penetrates homes like 25 to 100 homes around a single-use gas leaf blower versus 1 to 5 with an electric, because the high frequency of the electric is very different. But that low frequency noise causes headaches, anxiety, depression, cognitive issues, dementia. The machines themselves cause.
What are you, a doctor?
The list is extensive.
Let's have quiet in the audience, please.
Why? We don't want to hear
There's
it.
cancer-causing chemicals coming out of those machines, benzene, butadiene, toluene, formaldehyde, the 4 known carcinogens that these workers are exposed to all day when they strap on one of those gas-powered backpack leaf blowers. Well, if we were desperate to get our lawns cleaned with these things, and they were the only thing available, I could see the recalcitrance of the crowd. but it's the wrong thing to do because there are alternatives. The challenge is the investment required. So the solution, if possible, is to create low-cost financing. In many cases, manufacturers do that. If you can borrow at 0% or 2 or 3%, it's well worth the investment because you're saving money every hour you use the stuff. But it should be illegal because it's a health risk. And that's why town after town, state after state, that's the issue. It's a health issue for bystanders and workers that towns are compelled to make mandates for it. They might phase it out over the course of 3.5 years. Just one last thought. 60 to 65% of all lawn care gear sold today is electric. The gas-powered segment of the market is waning. In 2 or 3 years from now, in 2028, experts say that 85% of the market is going to be electric. What does that mean for innovation and economies of scale, mass production, value, performance, price? So smart money's on electric. You save money when you go electric, and electric is taking over the market. And it should be illegal from a health perspective to allow the use of these gas-powered devices.
Thank you, Dan. Nelson, have you been able to work out your sound yet?
The battery's dead.
Do you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Are you? No, you're still coming in and out. Can you switch entirely to your cell phone and get, so you don't get any feedback?
No way.
So, please be quiet.
When we talk about people in Branford, not these guys on the television.
Let's be quiet. What I'd like to do is to ask one of you that is obviously in opposition and might have some questions, respectful questions for these two, to come up. If you can pick one of you, come up. I'll allow you to ask questions of these two if you have things that you're concerned with and want answers. So is there one person that wants to ask questions?
Can we get my question first?
My name is Mark Sansone.
Wait.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Wait a second. John has a question for Nelson.
Are you back online with your cell phone?
You're muted, Nelson. You're still muted.
Excuse me, Peter, if you ask Nelson to turn off.
You hear me now?
Yeah. They get a better audio if you turn off his video.
Okay, can we hear you now?
It's good, thank you, sir.
You hear me?
Yes, that's good. Okay, John has one additional question for
Yeah,
you.
no, it's the same question, but unfortunately, we couldn't hear your answer before. We are talking about the running cost of gasoline versus electric. I understood, I think you said, well, go ahead and say what those numbers are, if you would, please.
So in two crew, when I was comparing when I was gasoline, I had two crews on gasoline back then when I was using gasoline. In those two crews, those were both were 3-member crews. Truck with trailer and machines on the trailer. We spend around $3,700 a month on gasoline. Compared to now, the same two crews on the field with batteries, the cost of fuel went down to $1,300 a month, which is the gasoline my cars are using.
So about 1/3 of the cost to run the electric as opposed to the gas.
Yes.
You got to add the cost of charges.
Okay.
I think this is what he's saying, so that's what we're trying to get to.
No, he's just saying how much he saved in gas from 37 to 1,300.
Yeah.
But now you got to
Yeah,
add the cost of
saving-
the batteries
I'm
and
sorry.
the charging of the batteries.
Is that, does the amount of money you're talking about there, the 1,312 or 1,300, does that include the cost of charging the batteries?
No, so $2,400, $2,400 were used, that's what I'm saving now in gasoline. Now, what I'm paying for electricity every month to charge that equipment in the summer when it's the peak, the fall is my peak of use of energy is in the fall. Is the improperty is being like $800 for charging, and $800 is because in reality it's like $250. The other $600 is taxes, which is ridiculous. The taxes we pay on electricity, but yeah, I mean it's only no more than $800.
So again, I'm focusing on the numbers. It was 3,700 before when you were solely on gasoline. Now it's about 1,200 in gasoline and another 800 in electricity. And therefore, there is a savings when you move to electricity in terms of your running cost. Is that correct? Okay.
That's at the price of the batteries.
We understand that, but we're talking, I was asking about running cost.
No, you say running cost.
I just say running cost. That's what we're looking, that's what my question was. Clearly, we've spoken about the cost of, the capital cost of buying these things, and that's higher. There's no doubt about that. So,
Simple questions and respectful. I don't want to.
the other gentleman there was saying that over time, you recoup that price. I don't know, I'm just saying what he said, okay? But that's what we're here for tonight, is to ask as many questions as we can, to get as clear an answer as we can. And that's why these gentlemen are here. So
you have two people on the line here, Nelson, who you've been listening to, and Dan. You can ask either one of them a question.
Sure.
Keep it a simple, direct question that we can understand and get an answer from them, please.
Absolutely.
And speak into the microphone because that's what they're listening to.
So to my understanding, when I've looked up the cons of the electrical backpacks, they're not to be ran in 85-degree temperature or more. The lithium batteries expand, they leak, and they can explode. When the temperature sinks, they lose capacity by 35% in the cold, which is not good for lithium batteries to run at full throttle with us going, I almost said the wrong thing, but we're going all out. That's a lot of strenuous on that backpack that's running full battery capacity. We would need, as you said, your 4-hour day requires less batteries than him. He has 55 batteries with him all day long, which he said was $50,000. So my ask is, that's what he's invested. That's what he's invested. My ask is.
I'm sorry, he's also, he talked about investing in terms of ride mowers and.
I'm not talking about riding mowers.
I know, but he was, that's the point. When he said $50,000 or $45,000, that's what he's talking about.
So let's
be very clear.
Write that question.
Let's leave the question at the difference between the hazard
I just want to
levels
get your input on the
batteries.
difference of temperatures, because if you look up any cons, that's sort of one of the first thing they say. And the storage, I had a little thing yesterday I wrote on Facebook for some people to attend. I had a gentleman from Hamden. His name is Mike Ma, M-A. He's a landscaper from Hamden. He had, right here on my Facebook, he said to him, he had a steel backpack. He tried to switch over to the battery operated. He ran it full throttle. He put it in his truck. The battery caught on fire and the truck went up. It's right there, so I doubt, that's on him. I'm just want to get a little feedback on the temperature and the, like the temperature differences in the batteries when hot to cold.
Yeah, the likelihood of lithium fires is very low. Lithium fires are normally associated with impact, which is why vehicle lithium fires are so, usually the example you hear about. They need an impact to ignite. Otherwise, the thermal runaway is pretty slow. I've never had a lithium fire, and neither has Nelson, as far as I know. But yeah, apparently Mr. Ma had one, but that's not normally associated with temperature changes. It's there's best practices for maintaining gas-powered equipment, and there's best practices for maintaining electric battery-powered equipment. And, temperatures make a difference. If you go out there in the summer and it's 85 degrees, the batteries won't run as long, and you may want to keep it in the shade for a few minutes to cool off before you recharge it. And likewise, if you're actually,
Let's be quiet, please.
Please,
Please.
let's do this with respect.
Thank you.
and it is true that when you're doing a really late fall cleanup and it's really cold, you'll get less runtime as well. So best practices are, there's you want to keep them stored at a reasonable temperature, like between 50 and 80. You don't really want to run it, you don't want to charge them in freezing temperatures. You don't want to store the batteries in freezing temperatures. And Nelson will be the first one to tell you, you bring out a little extra battery power if it's going to be unusually hot or cold. But other than that, there's no business impact. And as a matter of fact, I train people on, care and feeding to get maximum lifespan out of their equipment, particularly batteries. Some people are out there using their blower, let's say, for example, and they're like, they only have 50 square feet left to blow off, and the battery stops. And then they wait a second, they squeeze the trigger again, and they say, oh, shoot,
I got 3 more seconds.
Yeah, I can finish up, and then they wait another few seconds. But what they're doing is they're actually, they're doing what's known as a deep discharge. The batteries they hate that, so it's going to shorten the lifespan of batteries. So we do a whole training thing on this to try to help people, get their cost recovery on transitioning. I understand you guys are pissed. You don't want people to tell you what to do. And I heard one guy talk about the risk of unemployment and job loss, when in the same breath, I hear landscapers say, well, we've discovered that the latest, greatest gas-powered leaf blowers are going to give us 40 to 45 newtons, and we can strip a whole property side to side with fewer staff. And isn't that great? Well, sustainability people don't really like that style of leaf management. And if leaves are mulch, and if leaves are fertilizer, why are we depriving properties of these assets? And if we deprive the properties of these assets, and they happen to be where the insects are bedding down, the birds and the bees are going to die off even that much faster. So the sustainability people are influencing changing styles of landscaping. So in Nelson's case, he talks to his customers about leaves management. And we do save time. Blowing isn't good in general, whether it's electric powered or gas powered. You don't want too much particulate redistribution, so less blowing is better. It takes a lot of power, whether you're burning half a gallon an hour or however many kilowatts per hour. It's still a waste of a lot of power. And mulch mowing, particularly with electric mowers, but mulch mowing is a great way to go. People use mowers very creatively to reduce, to keep leaves on prem and to reduce blowing time.
So do you have another question?
Yes.
Can we see your P&L?
Go ahead.
Can we see your P&L? I think that would be all the proof in the pudding right there.
What's the
Like a
P&L?
P&L statement.
You want to ask that question?
Yes, can we, you have your P&L?
Profit and
Profit
loss.
Profit and
loss.
loss, statement in that window?
Let's see his equipment too.
I'm happy to tell you about it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
No, you're gonna show us.
Well, you're not gonna show us, because none of us are gonna show us our person, show our person.
It's pretty straightforward. I think the industry average return on sales, meaning what percent you get at the bottom line as a percent of your of your total revenue, I think the national average is 7%. So if you do, let's say you do $1 million in revenue, and everybody gets paid, perhaps including the working owner, national average is you get 70,000 left at the bottom line. But that swings probably from 5% to 20%. So it could be as high as 200,000 for an owner of $1 million business. Now, in my case, it's a $750,000 business, and we're probably, 12% return on revenue. So at the end of the day, there's about
130, yeah.
maybe 130.
Is that after paying yourself?
Is that after paying yourself, sir?
Yes.
I want to, just one more question, and this is to the other gentleman.
Yeah, and I should point out, it's a transition because I hit the holy grail of business owner versus business operator in May of last year. I was pretty heavily involved operator up until May. I was able to step back and work at a higher level and work less actually in the business with an office man. And Mike Estes, he's one of these lawn care mavens. He talks about that 800,000 in revenue being the magic point where you can afford a GM and get a little better activity out of the owner. So I made that transition. I got a general manager handling the operation. I got a field person doing actual plant health care and sales, face-to-face sales.
Do you have another question?
To the other gentleman.
I don't know if his mic
I've been pretty much cutting grass for about 35, 40 years, 35 years to be exact. Never have I ever used a mulch kit on the lawnmowers. But the simple fact is, when you put the leaves into the lawn, the fertilizing programs that come through at the end of the fall leave all the fertilizer, all the residue on top of the leaf piles that are smashed and cut into the lawns, which allows the birds, whatever else is coming down, children. I've seen fertilizer companies blow their fertilizer all over lawns, and it sits on top of areas that's why when we do our cleanups, we don't use mulch kits. We put our leaves into a wooded area, or we have a vacuum system take them away. They're stored at the dump, they're dumped at the transfer station in town, which are heavily looked after and watched after. So my question is, how could it be that the birds and the ecosystem is getting affected by us clearing properties down to the dirt area, which we all know, all lawns need to breathe, to grow.
I mean, that's why you gotta use mulching kits, because mulching kits help you to pulverize the leaves, so it's not chunks of leaves on the grass. The mulching kit goes around each blade. When you don't use mulching kits, the leaves move from one blade into another one. At the end, you send it out half chopped leaves. We're using mulching kits because they pulverize the leaves in each blade. And that pulverizing is now easy to decompose and easy we got 9 acres of lawn where everything is mulching. We got 25 acres of lawn, everything is mulching. And you can see the grass over there, you can walk on the ground, you see how soft it is. We don't have so much stress since we're doing that. To me, that's been beneficial all this time.
So when
I'd like to address the assumption also that you made an assumption that lawns need to breathe and that mulch mowing leaves was bad for the lawn and
causes bare spots.
created a situation where fertilizer was unable to reach the soil. It really speaks to proper process and timing. Mulch mowing of leaves is known to be a beneficial practice, and if you have a reasonable decomposition window and you don't overdo it, then you feed your soil, you get fertilizer, and you get organic matter. You get better soil with better soak up, with better microbial life that converts food for the grass plants. So when it's done properly, I'll give you an example. A lot of people do cleanups. They come maybe twice in the last couple months, and they're big cleanups, and so sometimes the leaves are piled deep and they're wet, so they need more power. In our case, we like to come at least twice that, maybe twice a month in those last couple months, and you have a nice window of decomposition. If the leaves are dry and dead and you grind them up, they disappear in a matter of 4 or 5 days. They feed the soil. If you try to mulch mow too much, then you're gonna get mulch. And yeah, that's gonna seal off the topsoil. It's gonna kill some grass. So you can't overdo it, and that's why you have blowers. If you have tried to mulch mow and you have too many leaves to mulch mow, then you gotta do some blowing. You either blow it off and skip the mulch mowing, or you mulch mow and you blow off the layer that's excessive. But the mulched leaves are really great for the lawn. And then again, you asked about, of course, sustainability people. You've heard about pollinator pathway, half-earth wild movement. Sustainability people are emerging town by town everywhere to talk about the catastrophe that we're facing, not only with invasive plants, loss of wetlands, but the loss of insects, birds and bees primarily. And what it comes down to is those leaves, those whole leaves, if you can leave some on the beds or in piles on premise, those whole leaves are where the insects hatch. Migrating birds, birds can't rear their young or migrate on seeds. So those bird feeders are nice, but we need the big fat caterpillars. We need some whole leaves left on premise. So the real environmentalist, you want to work on a real environmentalist property, they'll probably tell you, yeah, you can mulch mow some leaves and feed my lawn, but first, blow a few whole ones onto my beds and make a pile of whole ones over there. Then you can grind up what's left. But it's whole leaves that make a big difference to the life cycle. The more you strip those whole leaves out of there, and hopefully you've got some wooded areas in Branford, I know you do, so that's a beautiful thing. But really, that's what it comes down to. The health of the ecosystem depends on whole leaves being distributed across neighborhoods, actually.
Okay.
That was very interesting.
Are you okay with that?
I've said what I could say
Conversation
because.
about fertilization, we're talking about gas board, and like banning.
Can you bring the
cartoons.
mic up?
Yeah, I mean, I would honestly let a couple other guys speak because they have some other valid points. Maybe you could listen to them on the board, because this is what it comes down to. This comes down to a monopoly. Where they are the 10 richest towns in Connecticut. They're the 10 richest towns in Connecticut. He says he has 9-acre lawns.
Besides this.
Of course, I mean, we're worried about our town.
He's getting money.
This is our town, and it's gonna affect the homeowners. You heard the amount of batteries that we have to carry, the amount of equipment, the safety that we have to require to look after these lithium batteries that are charging in our shop overnight. We have to worry about batteries catching on fire. Gas-powered backpacks, I run them at full cork. The upkeep is absolutely simple. Every single year, you change the spark plug, you change the gas filter, you pump out the choke, you clean them all out. I've had backpacks right now that are on me for 7 years. They cost me $499. I'm not about to go spend 10 batteries. He said batteries last 2 hours, an hour and a half at some batteries. That's just absurd to run those many batteries with you and carry them all with you in the day. And I've already asked maybe 15 of my customers if I could possibly use their charging ports, their garage doors while they're open to charge my batteries. 3 or 4 of them said, yeah, okay, is there any kind of like hazards? What am I gonna say, no? Yes, there is. Some of them have said, no, absolutely not. Why run up our electricity?
Exactly.
So what's gonna come down to it? He may talk about there's a decrease in gas. That's just driving. That's driving. That's driving in the backpacks. We drive all over the place. The gas doesn't matter in the vehicles. He's not comparing it to a gas backpack, which he did. You can't go down $3,500 because you're buying 55 batteries at $500 a piece. That's $27,500. That's absurd. That doesn't even include the $1,733 backpack that Adrian presented the last time he was here with his presentation. So if there's 5 guys on a crew, maybe you have 3 guys run your crew. That's $5,400 for the backpacks, 10 batteries apiece. There's 5,000. That's $8,700 a backpack. It's absolutely absurd.
Thanks. Dan, I'll just give you one one last shot. I'll give you one last chance to respond to some of those comments, and then I'd like to close the discussion off. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I had trouble hearing him, but
Of course you did.
You're the only one. Focusing on, because I think some of the numbers got a little confused, but when it comes down to focusing on converting only blowers and lightweight and heavyweight options, you can invest a couple thousand up to, let's say, 8,000 per blower. All right, so that could be a showstopper, but the thing is, the point is that you're saving $3 an hour and you're moving to an alternative that's not a public health hazard. And so what's going on is that they're looking at the science and the health impact of these combustion machines and realizing that they need to transition because there are viable alternatives, and those alternatives recover the cost that's invested in them. So it's not a cost, it's an investment. If there's a way, if you do anything, if you're thinking of doing it, so it does come down to this. The towns look at the health hazards, they look at the workers' rights and the victims' rights, who are bystanders who are being impacted with toxic chemicals, and then they're looking at the democratic process. The majority of people want to get away from these things, and so they ban them. And so that's what's going on. And so
So if they ban the backpacks,
it's
right?
if you look at what has happened, look at what has happened. First of all, I assert it doesn't cost more money to operate electrically. It's much cleaner and compliant, but it's much cleaner and healthier and safer overall. And so the bottom line is that when you look at places that have done complete and total bans on the equipment, the work continued and the prices didn't go up. And if you look at companies like mine, my prices aren't higher than other gasoline-powered companies. If you look at companies like Nelson.
Have you ever done it yourself?
Excuse me?
Have you ever done it yourself?
Oh, yes. I'm out there. I was out there on my hands and knees. I've got plenty of videos to show you.
You got calories on your hands?
No.
Let's stop.
Do you, so what I'm saying is, the major thing is.
Please, we're listening to Dan. I don't want to start, this is.
Yeah, I know, you guys are the representatives of the towns, not them. We want to talk to you guys, not the people on the fucking TV.
Listen.
I just want to ask you a question, just one.
What's your question?
Dan, do you get paid from any of these companies to speak?
Dan, he's asked if you get paid by any companies to speak.
Yeah, absolutely not. I got paid.
Because you were at the state of too. You were at the state of
I'm volunteering my time right now.
Okay. So
And
no.
I have volunteered my time to speak with 35 other cities about my experience as they entertain bans. Recently, a town in Pennsylvania was working on a ban, and I testified to help them pass that ban.
Rebates from the companies.
Then,
Thank
who's talking here?
So you
I'm
get,
talking.
please be quiet for a second.
You can't see
So
it.
the question was, and I think you
Turn it on.
responded, that you're not getting paid by anybody to testify on
Rebates,
behalf
anything
of,
like that.
or any-
anybody.
anybody.
Something.
this isn't talking to your own.
Never taken a dime for testifying. I volunteered countless hours at this, and I submit 5-page letters with the information that I have.
But you don't
And
get
I got hired to help a town transition.
Thank you. There you go.
Let's stop.
Let's talk
you to be quiet for a second.
Let's talk between us.
This is, let me make one thing clear. We are not engaged in a public forum here. We are a committee, we are meeting, we are discussing this as a committee. We've invited the public to listen into our discussions. We've asked these two gentlemen to come and speak tonight to give, I don't care whether you need them, we need them. We understand your position entirely.
You're supposed to be doing your research. This is a little one-sided. Both these guys.
One-sided, you're getting paid.
Who's the people talking against it? You're supposed to make.
We've been listening to you talk for 2 meetings now.
This is this guy who's getting paid, and the other guy who thinks he's building a business. This is bullshit.
Okay, thank you. Will you sit down,
We just
please?
listened for 2
I'm going to end this meeting right now if we don't have quiet. We are not here tonight to hear from every one of you. We know that there's a lot of opposition. I think we've heard pretty clearly what the issues are. The committee is trying to understand the subtleties of both points of view. Yours has been made very clear in the last 2 meetings and through emails, etc. And at this point, we need to decide how to proceed as a committee, but I'm going to stop at this point, stop the public interaction with the committee, and we're going to move it on to a committee discussion. We'll be having multiple meetings.
Everybody says, speak in their mind, too.
Pardon?
There shouldn't be a vote when somebody's getting paid to a one-sided thing, and then we're not getting paid.
Well, he wasn't
I
supposed to say
understand that.
We're not getting paid.
This is a one-sided thing. You're talking to a business that's getting paid from other businesses.
No, that's not true.
Several times about his training.
He said he got paid by one town.
He has mentioned several times throughout the discussion about training people.
He said that he was paid by one town to help
It's
them.
not just one town. I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna look into it.
You can submit to the committee emails, letters, comments at your will. You can attend the upcoming meetings of the RNO as we discuss this further. But again, the purpose of our meeting here is not to have everybody engage in a back and forth conversation about, the issues at hand. It's to ask specific questions, get specific answers. We're the ones that decide.
You're not asking specific questions, okay? Now, you can tell me to sit down all you want. You asked the guy 7 times about how much gas he spent. You never asked the territory, how many customers how many trucks, what kind of trucks, nothing. That means that answer is
Okay.
totally null and void. You guys don't know the education questions.
Be quiet a second.
Because they're all on one side.
Be quiet.
You're not asking us the right questions, we're not giving you the right information. Everybody here is really pissed off because you're taking our livelihood away, okay?
Fine.
So,
Listen, what I would suggest you do, if you have questions you want answered, is to put them in writing, send them to us as specific questions, and we will address them in the committee. We'll try to find resources to answer them if we don't have those, etc. But,
you have the best resources sitting right here. You're just not approaching it correctly. These are the people who use them every single day.
We could all come up with a great plan for the town.
I just want to know who's going to give us the money to buy new bowlers, battery chargers and all that stuff.
The state of Connecticut's going to.
Take out another loan.
Let's stop it.
You got to give them taxes back, you got to give them.
I'm going to close the meeting if I don't get a little order here. Okay?
But you have to understand what everybody's going through. We're scared. Everybody's scared.
You are all
Because we
making.
want to pay our bills too.
Listen, you are all making the assumption that because our committee is hearing this item and discussing it, that the ultimate, end result of that is going to be that we're going to try to pass an ordinance to ban the use of leaf blowers, gas-fired leaf blowers. At this point, you have no idea where this committee may go with its conclusions. You have no idea what options we may be looking at and alternatives, etc. That's for the committee to work out over the next couple of months as we explore this further. But, making the assumption that just because we're hearing this item, that the plan is to develop an ordinance to ban leaf blowers, to ban gas-fired leaf blowers, it's incorrect. That is not where we are right now. We're having a discussion within the committee to gather information. We have yet to have an internal discussion to talk about how everybody feels, and that'll happen. And I think we've gotten a lot of information from, the public. In previous meetings and emails, we've had a lot of information from proponents of banning gas-fired leaf blowers. We've had a lot of information from all of you who are in the business, and we're taking that into consideration. But there are a lot of ways of addressing this, short of necessarily banning leaf blowers altogether, banning gas-fired leaf blowers altogether. We have to look at the options and discuss it, and we could take no action at all on this. This was discussed like 3 or 4 years ago. The same issue was brought up, and the committee back then decided just to take no action. So at this point, you have no idea, as a public, where the committee is headed and what we may end up doing. And that's the purpose in our discussions, over the next couple of months, and doing some of the research.
I respectfully request that you table this
Pardon?
issue. I respectfully request that you table this issue and take it off the agendas. For now, just take it off, because clearly, the people are speaking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
People should speak. We shouldn't be
There's a guy
listening
that
to
has
some
Pardon?
person.
I'm going to let you two speak. You can come up to the table, identify yourself, and speak. I'm going to close the meeting to any more public comment after that. Okay? Come up.
One thing before, Richard asked me to do something for him, and I did it. I'm hoping Richard will send all that to all the board members, so they'll see the difference in the still. I gave him, and it wasn't my information, it came from still. So Richard, if you can send that to all the board members, I'd appreciate it.
Is that the
so they can
information
see
you
the
gave us?
difference in what the still is.
That is.
Is that this thing?
Is that this thing here?
No, so I don't know why, I don't know why you're mad at me.
I'm not, me? I'm not mad at you at all. I'm just saying, I
You
want to.
sound mad.
I'm not mad at all.
You sound mad.
Okay.
So anyway, you were very helpful, and we are studying this. There isn't anyone on this committee or on the RTM that wants to put anyone out of business. So we're looking at this closely. You gave us really good feedback. When I can look at that, and I'll share it with everybody, and I'm going to get back to you.
All right, I hope so. I've been doing this for 51 years.
That's what I asked you.
Thank you. So we will get
that information.
We will
I'm
get-
not mad at you. I appreciate what you did for me.
We will get the information that you provided,
Thank you.
Richard. It'll be sent out to the committee among all the other correspondents. So this gentleman here wants to introduce himself and.
My name is Joseph Carafano. I lived in this town for 60 years.
Are you going to be asking questions of people?
Yeah, I want to ask Dan a question.
Okay, well, then you have to.
You have to talk to the mic.
Speak into the mic.
He's got it. It's connected to this.
Hi, Dan, I'm Joe.
Hey, Joe.
I just heard you say earlier you owned your business for 20 years.
Yes,
Did you buy it? Or did you start it?
I started it.
Oh, you
In
did
my
start
spare
it.
time, I had a full-time job, I started in my spare time. I've been working my ass off to do the right thing, and I'm doing it right now.
What's the
So the question is, instead of you being here talking, your workers that are out there every day struggling with these batteries, fumbling around, why aren't they here talking?
Barking up the wrong tree, they love the company and they love.
Where are
using
they?
electric.
Where are they?
Would you like to hear from them?
Well, they're not here, are they?
I'd like them, yeah, I'd like them to come here in person, where he should be.
We can.
I don't think you're happy, Joe, but I'm not going that far. But what do you expect me to do right now? You're antagonizing me for no reason.
I'm not antagonizing you. But you're not out there in the field struggling with this stuff. Your workers are. You said you have 4 crews.
Brother, I've been out there in the field.
Never.
How come your wife is a ghost?
Never. I just say never. You've never been out there. You had a second job. This landscape company was extra money for you on the side. Thank you.
Hey, Joe, just let Branford taxpayers speak now. He can go home.
So we have one other gentleman here that wanted to speak.
Come on, this guy, come on.
You never know, he might have got hired by Branford. He got hired by every other town, but he still doesn't take taxes.
I don't know what that is.
I just want to talk to the committee more than, I don't want to talk to these guys.
Okay, so if you want, I can end the.
Yeah, that's all, I'm okay with that.
And we can have a discussion. So Dan,
Can't hear you. Need the mic.
I need the mic. Thank you.
Watch the wires, please.
Yeah, Dan, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Look, just want to thank you very much for spending your time and angst to answer questions and be subjected to our meeting tonight in the general public. But I do appreciate, and I think the committee appreciates, hearing from you. And I'm going to end the Zoom call at this point because I think the rest of the meeting is going to address other things. And I think that Richard or somebody else in the committee may reach back out to you for future conversations. But thank you both very much, for Nelson and Dan, for participating tonight.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. And, you know, I'm sympathetic to how difficult landscaping is as a business. You know, kind of hostage to the weather, and it's a hard job to really earn your money. I just hope that people can move forward with the transition for better health and overall without fear and anger, and that it can be smooth. Best thing you can do would be to make a fund to loan people, do a long-term phase out and loan people money to transition. But good luck with the transition, and I'm happy to contribute with any other.
15%. Okay, great. Thanks Dan, thanks Nelson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have this gentleman, if you could
Feel bad for you guys, I know
let,
what it feels like to be on that side, but,
please give us.
and
your
everybody's
name.
upset, you gotta understand.
Give us your name and.
I'm Joe Mazzarella, I own Mazzarella Construction, I've been in business 35 some odd years, and I have converted all my trucks with inverters to charge batteries. I've tried probably 7 years ago. I said, you know what? Gas is going up and up. I said, we're gonna try this. So I had a little money to play with. I went out and I spent the thousands of dollars. Guys were coming back in with batteries that are cracked, because now they're bouncing on trucks. Batteries that have overheated. They say you get a 2-year warranty on this $600 battery. Try getting that warranty. Okay? No, you overheated it. Well, it's 105 degrees out today. Well, you're not supposed to run it. It says a 2-hour run time, but then in the fine print, it's a 20 or 19-minute run time. I don't know about anybody else, but we're out there hot, cold, no matter what. You can come to my shop and look at my trucks. They all have inverters in them. There's not one battery piece of equipment on the trucks. Unless we're starting early, I still have, because besides the backpack blowers, we have hedge trimmers, weed whackers, edgers. I mean, everything we use is on a 2-cycle basis. So they're saying, I don't know why they're targeting leaf blowers. Maybe they run at a higher volume. But it's I spent the money. I've been there. I've tried it. I'll show you the equipment. You can come to my shop right here in Branford. I have it all sitting there. You have to store it in a 60-degree, right? I don't know, you guys have heated garages where you park your car? Nope. Now we have to heat our garage to store these batteries. And what he's saying about low-risk fires, Ask any fire department, I don't care if you call Branford, North Branford, East Haven, how many fires they have, well, you guys experienced firsthand with the transfer station, how many fires they have had, okay? Personal friends of mine that own farms in North Branford lost their barns to lithium fires.
And how they put them out.
Not even, I'm saying our big backpack batteries, these are just your little Milwaukee drill, had them plugged in, went to bed, woke up, their houses, their barns in flames. My batteries personally, you come to my shop, I'll show you, I have Milwaukee's, DeWalt's, we also run the mechanic shop. My hands are constantly going on those batteries, they got hot, you pull them out. They supposed to have safeties in them? No. Have I ever had a gas fire? Yeah, I've had a lawnmower catch on fire, but I've seen more battery fires than gas fires.
Thank you. Could we have your name again?
Joe Mazzarella Construction.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, I'm going to close basic public comment off at this point so that we can finish up our meeting tonight. This is obviously going to be a long-term discussion. We are not going to be tabling this tonight and probably not next month either. I think there are a lot of aspects to the questions that have been raised that some of which could be addressed in a variety of different ways. And the committee has to explore those options and thoroughly discuss them before we come to any conclusion. But at any rate, you're welcome to come to future meetings. All meetings, as I say, are recorded. You're welcome to submit comments of any sort to us through email or a written letter. They can be sent to me, and we'll put them in our archives and distribute them to all of our members, and they will be available to you. If any of you want to have access to the various correspondence, research information, et cetera, that the working group is developed, it is available. Again, if you get in touch with me through email, I can send you a link to be able to access that information. So you will have opportunities. Again, the meetings are recorded. You can listen to them on BCTV, and I welcome you to come to the future meetings of the committee. I realize this is an incredibly controversial topic with a lot of people on either side of the issue, and we're trying to get feedback from the community here, but do it in some form of organized, respectful way. And I appreciate those of you who have shown some respect tonight. Thank you for that. I'll answer your one question if you have something, and that's going to be it.
I do, I have a couple things, and I don't really want to rise out of anybody, I want to ask a couple of serious questions.
I'm sorry, can you come?
Yeah, come up here,
please.
Come sit at the table here. Give us your name and address, and please speak into the microphone there so we can.
That's a microphone?
That is a microphone, yes.
I'm Mark Colillo. I'm not a landscaper. I'm a property manager. And I came to just find out what's going on. I have a couple questions, and one of it pertains to how this committee chose this particular topic to research.
We'll answer that one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, and here's the reason why, because I'm sitting in the audience here listening to this, and from a neutral standpoint, it seems like this is trying to sell legislation. And what it's doing is hurting small businesses, again, in Branford, which I see being hurt all the time. I don't understand why this committee doesn't put its best efforts into researching the burn-off of jet fuel that we breathe in every day from Tweed, New Haven, that burns over our heads on a daily basis, along with the chemtrails that no one has any answers to, but yet you're targeting a small group of landscapers, or it seems like the committee is targeting just a certain group of people that are trying to make a small living on a much smaller scale than a larger corporation that's blowing chem fuels and everything over our heads on a daily basis.
Thank you. We'll answer that. Do you want to take a stab at why we are taking this up?
We didn't pick this. Somebody complained, and it's our obligation to pick that up and do this. This is not the town per se.
No,
the way the committee works.
Hold on one second. I want to hear what you're saying.
the way the committee works typically is that items are, the public can send any issue, please be quiet. The public can send any issue they would like the town to take up to the RTM and ask that they, write an ordinance, address X, Y, or Z thing. If it involves a potential ordinance, the RTM then sends it to our committee for consideration. We don't pick and choose those things, they are sent to us. And this was one of those things, a group of people in the public felt that there should be legislation to restrict the use of gas-fired leaf blowers. They submitted a letter to the RTM. The RTM then referred it to us for consideration, and we have to do our due diligence and discuss all aspects of the topic and come to whatever conclusion we might. Usually these things take quite a few months, if not longer, to address and bring to some conclusion. There obviously are a lot of issues out in the world that you might think that a committee like ours should be addressing, but we don't pick and choose those things. They are submitted to us. And so that's why we're addressing this particular item tonight. In terms of these people that we had on the Zoom call tonight, they were there because there was, obviously in a previous meeting, there were a lot of people in the audience, most of them here tonight, who were very strongly in opposition to making this sort of a transition and or using battery-powered equipment. And so the feeling that was, let's talk to some people who, on the other side of the equation, have used it and find out what their experience has been. And that's why we actually reached out, we invited these people to give a presentation tonight of what their business experience had been, is information to us. This is not taking a point of view, this is not saying that we are promoting that.
Hold on one second, sir, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it is a point of view. There wasn't anything factual that I saw in front of any of our eyes.
Well, it was factual in that they were talking very clearly about their business experience. That's factual. They may have had a point of view about the desire to make this type of a transition and their desire to use leaf blowers, and obviously Dan was very strongly motivated by environmental considerations that he had, and I can respect that. But the fact of the matter is, they are businesses, they have made a transition, they are using the equipment, and the information they gave us was very much related to their exact business experience. There are obviously a lot more questions we could ask them, and again, if you have questions you'd like addressed, you can send them to us, we'll try to research them and get answers. But that was the purpose tonight of having these two gentlemen speak. And
I respect that, but it doesn't seem like that on the other end. When you're sitting in the corner listening to what's going on here and listening to the response here, it sounds like they're very disorganized. They should have probably brought more factual paper information to look at to share with you guys, as well as you guys should have had more paperwork and to share information in the proposal of the possibility of voting on this legislation.
But there's no
We're not at a
We're not even
proposal
at that
stage.
point yet.
Right, but
We're not even
you're
there.
doing your research in order to get to that point.
no, we're doing research to decide whether to get to that point. We don't have to
This is what this
develop
is
an
now.
ordinance
We're
or
just talking
regulation.
about this now. There's been no decision made. We're having these groups to figure out what the next step is.
But in order to do that, you have to listen, not just speak. And you're not listening to the taxpayers of the town of Branford.
I know half of them. I listen to them all the time.
Maybe outside of the committee.
We spent 2 meetings with a lot of comments being addressed to us here.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
I just kind of find it shocking that it seems like this backpack or whatever, gas blower, how did it become a targeted point when there's many other environmental things, gas grills? Why are we not talking about this with larger corporations?
Now it's getting emotional.
we were given this as a topic to consider. That's why
I'm sorry.
I said we were given this as a topic to consider. Our purpose in the committee, having this committee, is to address items that are referred to us. That's why we're talking about it. We don't have a choice in that.
Right decision with factual information on both sides.
Okay, so
Move on to the next thing. But I got it from an unbiased standpoint, it does seem like it is a little targeting to certain groups.
Well, obviously, proposal is to limit what the landscape community is doing, that may seem like a targeted, I understand that, but that's the purpose of having our discussion and doing our research. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can I ask just a quick question? How many complaints did you get
Complaints about what?
about the the leaf blowers? Was it 5 people? Was it 50 people? Was it?
We initially had a letter from a group of, I think it was like 4 or 5 people that may put this on our plate through the RTM process. After that, we have had probably another 15 to 20 people that have either sent in letters in support of moving in this direction, or have come to meetings and stood up and expressed the same. So that, this sort of, but we're not at a point, we're not weighing, this is not a survey, we're not weighing public opinion and counting the number of people that come to our meeting for or against it, because that can obviously be very skewed by, a lot of different things. So we try to get information, we try to listen, so that we can decide what our next step as a committee is going to be.
But it seems like maybe less than 25 people out of, how many people are in Branford? 20,000?
28,000.
I think that you guys could be very busy if like 20 people just start writing things and.
Yes,
Well,
that's exactly how that works.
That's the way it
Exactly how it
works.
runs.
That's unfortunate, because I think,
Thank you.
there's a lot of merit to what your committee has to do, and I feel like you probably have events or things that waste your time, and I'm not saying this is wasting your time, but I feel like there needs to be a little meat on the bone before it's becoming like a situation.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to, I'm good.
Just one thing.
No, everybody wants to say one more
Just one
thing.
thing. He got to talk for 2 hours. Why can't I just say one thing? It's more of, when they wrote the letter, it wasn't anything about the ecosystem and salamanders and everything. It was noise. So why don't we take that in mind when you guys talk?
The committee in our discussions will clearly look at the various parts of the issues, and noise is a part of the issue. We could address it as a piece. The initial letter that was sent in, though, was not just a noise issue, it was an environmental issue. Okay, so this is the end of our public discussion, and I would bring this back to the committee at this point.
Which has been tabled. So, I'm gonna make a motion that we take no action. That we take no action, and wait for the state of Connecticut to get their acts together, to put this in motion. They will have loan exchange funds, they will have Connecticut Green Bank loan programs, they're gonna provide opportunities. Right, it's gonna solve our problem. With all of this, we as a town are not equipped to handle what they are gonna go through to switch over to battery. My position is, I make a motion to take no action.
Do we have a second on that motion? Okay, then, discussion of the motion. I think that there are a whole variety of alternative actions that we can take.
Peter, can you speak a little bit louder?
I think that it's a little bit more complex than just tabling the item, because I think there are a variety of things that we could do as a committee to address sort of parts of the issue that have been raised. And I think that before we take no action on this, I think we need to at least explore what, alternative courses of action we might take as a committee to an outright ban on leaf blowers. Obviously, as Trish says, if the state, in one of their future state sessions, does take up the current bill again and move it forward, that would address a lot of the things that the original consideration was asking us to.
So that was tabled today?
And that we can't.
What?
It was tabled today?
My understanding is that it's off the table for this session, and entirely it's not going to move forward. so it would be brought up again in the next session.
I looked it up today.
So again, if we vote on this, I'm going to be voting against tabling it right now, although I understand Tricia's point of view. I think that the one step we need to take before we do that is to do some research and have some discussion about a variety of alternative or separate steps that we might take as a committee, short of, doing an outright ban of some sort. After that, then, from my point of view, then I would consider us being able to discuss it and vote and make a decision.
I do know, because like I said, I do know half of those people. I do know that most of them would be willing to accept a time limit.
Yeah, that was about to be my
They would be
next
willing to
question.
accept what?
A
A
time
time
limit.
frame,
Like, what are we, like, the
from
hours?
7 in the morning to whatever, or, yeah,
Seven at
whatever.
night.
Like is in here.
It's already 7 in the morning till 7
Well,
at night.
No, it's till 10 at night.
Till 10
We
at
could
night?
do a special
Till 10 at night, yes.
timing for this type of equipment. But yeah, that's the type of thing I'm speaking of, that we could take some specific actions that would at least, help in some of the concerns here.
It says right here, nighttime hours are between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., so the hours are already established.
A modification
We
to
can, we
the,
can change that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I
We
understand.
do, is it Sunday?
Sunday is 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday.
I mean, we
Do something like a no Sunday.
We could develop,
No, it means that you can do it virtually all the time. You can start at 9 in the morning and run until 9 at night.
10 at
On
No,
it.
I was gonna suggest like 4 or 5, but
Yeah, I mean,
Right, I
you can
understand,
cut the hours down.
but
we could cut the hours down.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they have nighttime hours in here. But I mean, if we went and said 8 to 6, Monday through Friday, most people are up and moving at before 8 in the morning, and 6 o'clock at night. That seems.
But the point I'm making,
Yes, that could be-
that would be a
yes,
good suggestion.
yes.
We could decide on some, details of
Yes.
and make a change, to probably in this case, make a change to the noise ordinance rather than creating a new ordinance, would be one of the courses of action to take. So, yeah, it's good.
I've also gotten lost in all the contractors, but this will also apply to homeowners as well, correct?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. That would be something that we'd have to, it's up to us. However, if we did an ordinance like this, we could craft it to just be a commercial
When Adrian
ordinance
made his
or-
presentation last week, he said that it was very clear that trying to do an ordinance that would affect individual homeowners is a failure. He said the only places that succeeded in this were those that did not try to put an ordinance on individual homeowners.
I don't think that's true.
That's what he said.
Well, I'm not saying whether what he said is true or not, but his statement isn't true, because I just looked at every ordinance in the towns that have an ordinance, and it's all, no matter who's using it, you can't use it. When it's banned, when it's limited, nobody can use it, homeowner, business,
Yeah, it's
township,
gotta be fair.
Correct.
everybody can.
So that's what other towns have done. But again, those are choices that we could make if we did move in that direction and write an ordinance. We could do it however we want.
But the thing is, like Richard said, the 5 towns that he checked, they can afford not to. They can afford to give them money to phase out their equipment. They can afford.
Yeah,
They can
They
afford.
haven't.
They haven't.
But I
They
mean,
haven't.
if
None of
they
them have done that.
None of them
if they
have.
wanted to, they can.
They haven't.
No, I understand that. I'm just making a statement.
Sure. But let's,
Well, the item on the table is, are we
This
going
is
to
like a
table
rich
this?
person's
or
problem,
are we
banning
going to
leaf
proceed, right? Pardon? We have to decide
what I mean?
whether we're going to.
Right now, we're having a discussion about Trish's motion
My
to
motion to take no action.
take no action, and we're having discussion on that motion. And as I said, my piece is to not do that right at this point, because I think there are some further things that we might do, such as time limits, et cetera. And I'd like to explore that before, we just plain end the conversation.
Is it
Although
under,
I would like to end the conversation lately, to tell you the truth.
yeah, we would like
Then
to
do
just
it.
go
I mean-
away.
It's not that simple.
Do they sometimes with these ordinances, like, do it piecemeal, like, that you could start by saying, say you can make noise till 6 o'clock at night or something, and then you come back later on and then change it to something else, like, can you do
Ordinances
it
can be made
piecemeal?
and changed.
So,
I mean, it's not typical, but they can be made and changed.
So that's-
You know,
that's a
we changed
consideration
the
is to-
blight ordinance, obviously, recently, after some.
The problem with ordinances is the teeth and how to
enforcement
address
is,
it.
every time, that's what we come up to at the end, how do we enforce it?
Enforcing it.
No, you don't know.
Anything, any kind of ordinance.
Well, yeah.
It's how you enforce it.
I mean, we know, and we've had a lot of side conversations about this, and one of the things our committee at some point should be taking up is ways of changing the enforcement process in
Yep.
town in our ordinances, because that covers a lot of ground, and certainly the noise relates to the noise ordinance and others. But right now, I think if we're taking one thing at a time, we have to assume that we start with the, we can find enforcement, or else we wouldn't be doing it at all.
Yeah,
But anyway.
I think we should keep going, just because we're still learning a lot. Like, there's a lot we don't know.
Well, why don't we vote on Trish's? Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on, nope, I'm not withdrawing the motion.
Go ahead.
I've heard a lot about battery safety. It's all been anecdotal. The guy on the screen said, not a problem. Gentleman, Joe was his name, came up, said he's had problems with them. I would like to get someone from the fire department to give us their professional opinion as to the safety of lithium batteries in this kind of environment. So for that reason, I would like to keep this open. I don't want to table it at this point, because I want to know more from an expert about what the risks are.
That's a great idea to ask the fire department, because we've been just sitting here listening to everybody who are just not experts in the
There's
field
more
talk
to it
about
than
it.
that.
Yeah. and
There's so much
Can't say
more
they're not
to it than
experts, these are
that.
the guys that,
Because
the guys, barn burned to the ground.
There are a ton of questions.
These
Transfer
guys,
station burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Victoria Verderam's garage burned because of a battery. So, but what we're asking them about banning something, and I know it's not gonna happen for like months and months, but we as a town, we write this ordinance, we don't have the means to help them facilitate that ordinance. We don't have buyback programs, we don't have loan programs, we don't have anything. So in order to actually say, okay, we're gonna move forward because we want to accomplish this, we don't have the means to support all of these companies and all of these people. So it's futile, it's a moot point. We're never gonna be able to make an ordinance to say we're gonna ban gas-powered leaf blowers, because we can't help them get on their feet to get batteries.
First, relative to your motion, which is to just end it now, there are, as the RNO, there are actions that we can take short of positive action, short of creating an ordinance and sending it to the RTM for approval. We can make recommendations. We can make recommendations to the town. We can make, suggestions. There are a bunch of things we can do that are not legislative, but still we can do as a committee as a result of this whole big conversation we're having to try to at least move the needle forward a little bit.
Move the needle forward.
Toward, ultimately, the objective would be, I think it's pretty clear that the environmental damage that exists in the two-cycle engines is a legitimate concern. I don't see anything that counters the fact that this is all just bullshit or something. I think there are health issues that are pretty clear, and I don't find fault with. I think there are environmental issues that are pretty clear, and I can't find fault with as an issue, etc. So the idea that ultimately it would be nice, forgetting about how we do it, it would be nice if the community and the landscapers move toward a use of battery-powered equipment. assuming that there weren't health issues, I mean, there weren't fire issues, assuming that there weren't financial issues, getting rid of all those things just to address the bigger picture, And my personal feeling is that the market is going to take care of some of this over time in the marketplace, and possibly the state. But I think that the trend is going to be to move in that direction.
And that's gonna be up to them.
And they'll make their decisions one at a time for a variety of reasons.
Yep, something breaks.
Some will try, some will
new.
fail, some will be successful, etc. But I do think that there are some things that we as a committee can do, and we ought to explore before we stop this conversation altogether, to help in some of the issues. The noise is clearly one. I mean, that's sort of really separate and away from the health and environmental issues, and it's something that people for years have classically been complaining about, especially with leaf blowers and other lawn equipment, but also
motorcycles,
e-bikes, other things that are out there.
One of the things that I said in our last meeting, I said I wanted more numbers, I want a clearer idea, and I still don't think we're there yet. And I also said that for me to move forward with this, we're talking about these guys who are running businesses, that there has to be some way to ease that transition, which means money.
And Branford can't do that.
Branford can do that. There's nothing to stop us from doing that, as far as I'm aware. It certainly would be something novel, but there is over $50 million of money sitting in the bank account of Branford.
Why not in the business become a loan agency?
Well, that's something to be explored. You may not want to do that, but
This
from
is a
my
can
point of
of
view,
worms that
from my
our
point of
small
view,
town cannot just.
from my point of view, in order for us to move forward, we have a lot of small businesses here that would in fact have to come up with money if we were to say move over to electric.
I'll never vote for that.
Okay, then I understand that, but that doesn't mean that there isn't something that we can look at here. And you may never come on board with it, but that doesn't mean that we as a committee shouldn't be taking that as something that we might look at. Okay? That's what this process is about, is exploring new options. So from my point of view, if this were to work, if we were to tell business people that they had to switch the way they did business, we would have to find somebody to support them. So that's where I'm coming from. And I don't know whether it's possible, but I would say that's something we should be looking at.
But we can't even figure out the tax benefit that we're trying to give some of these seniors.
We haven't even started to look at that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, we haven't started looking at that.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, this is a closed.
But we're trying
sorry.
We're trying to figure
it's
out.
you.
Oh, it's Jeff.
It's
No, it's Josh.
But we're trying to figure out where we're going to get money to give to. I don't even know how many businesses there would be to support that.
There's about, I've looked at the data, there, as far as I can identify, using data from the Secretary of State's office, there are 20 landscape companies where the company is registered in Branford and the principal is also a resident of Branford. So I believe that's sort of the universe we're looking at.
So so there's 20 companies, and then that one gentleman said he's got $45,000 worth of equipment.
That's what he was talking. That was with
the mower. Okay, so take the mower and everything out. You're still looking at
$20.
The high end of up to $20,000 for 2 blowers if you get the right ones.
So, this is something to explore.
Agreed.
And I would like to see the numbers.
I don't see why we have to explore it
Right now,
to no end.
we're having a discussion
waste of
about
time.
Trish's motion.
My motion, to table.
And I think we had a vote on it. Again, I don't think we're going to do it at this point. But let's vote on that to start with, and then I think we had to have a real quick discussion on how to move forward so we can get adjourned. Would that makes sense? So, do we have you had a second, right? You said, we had a discussion, any more discussion? Everybody in favor of Tricia's motion to table this, or take no action? Raise your hand.
Can I ask a question?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, everybody not in favor? Okay, so what I would suggest, there's so much noise in the room when we have these conversations, and I think it's good to have the public involved, and, you know, big turnout, even if it's very vocal and very much against whatever they think you're trying to do. However, it makes it very difficult for us to have this kind of conversation. And I'm wondering whether...
Well, they're hurt, and they think that we are responsible for their...
Yeah, no, I understand that. So what I would suggest we do, because I think, again, from my point of view, there are a bunch of other aspects of this that we could look at before we actually decide what we're going to do or what we're not going to do. And I think we ought to explore those as our next mission, to look at, you know, the pieces and the parts and individual actions that we might take, short of, you know, just doing an ordinance banning gas-fired heat pumps. I think the venue for doing this, and maybe avoiding a little bit of this conversation, because I don't think we can go into an executive session to discuss it without the public, but I could hold a special Zoom meeting of us. We can post it as a special meeting. The public can, if they wanted to, listen in, but they can't interfere in the meeting unless we invite them into the meeting. And I also don't anticipate there would be that many people that would do it. And maybe we can have a little bit more just discussion amongst ourselves about, you know, what the possibilities are for moving this forward in some respect, other than just, you know, adopting anything.
Our next meeting, could we come up with some options?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that
what the subcommittees do?
That's what the working group would do.
working
But I
group.
think that the working group can be tasked with coming up, we'll maybe have a special Zoom meeting to discuss some things that are put on the table by the working group, and any other comments that the committee members might make. But that'll allow us, I think, a little more of a ability just to exchange ideas before we decide where we want to head with this. If that makes sense to everybody.
I think it would take the temperature down if we could change the item number, instead of establish a town ordinance to limit the use of gas-fired leaf blower. Oh, no, that's
the way
okay.
it was presented.
Yeah, that's okay, that's all right.
I mean, we can do anything we want. We don't
That's
have
okay,
to-
because, you know, I thought it said ban, you know, everybody's like freaking out with ban, but this, you know, limit.
And the other thing would be to move it up in the agenda.
Actually, no, because that would just bring everything else down. I think, because that was gonna be, everything else is gonna
Yeah,
be.
we never get
reaffirmed.
anything with
We
this
would-
public meeting. but
I
let's-
think that
let's-
was smart the way he did it, because those were quick.
The next thing we have to do is refer. Let's get that out of the way for tomorrow. So we have a motion to refer. Second.
I've already done it.
Okay, so we're all.
I say no. I say no to
So-
re-refer.
No re-refer.
I'm saying no to re-refer.
Because you wanted to table.
I want to table it. I want this to
Okay.
just be off the
I think
agenda.
I think we should look at, I know what you're saying, I think, but if the state can't figure out what they're doing,
Who are we to figure it
who are
out?
we? And we have no
And what
way
means
to.
do we have?
We have no way, like, they have these programs that the state's gonna put up with the loan program or the buyback program. We have no ability to
But
do
we
that.
could limit this just to taking action on the noise issue.
Tell me, you second.
There are
Okay, I'll second.
things that we can do. Sure, and if we take no action, then we're not doing anything. So if we want to have a
But we could take up
discussion-
something else. We could
You
do
put something new on the agenda?
something different. Not this, so you're not having all of that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Makes that go away, and then we could get something done.
I'd like to have the thing
I
be
kinda like it
included all
myself.
together, but as I'm saying,
I like the crowd being here.
I think, well, let's do the re-referral. We've already gotten.
I say no on the
There were
re-referral.
We got
people
two
on the other
against
side that were
re-referral,
afraid to talk.
and the rest are for it, is that?
Are you
where
for
we are?
referral?
We all?
Yes.
Yes.
Re-refer? So it's 5 to 2 to
Sean, you're
refer.
for re-refund?
But
I'm asking Sean. I didn't get Sean's vote.
I thought he was for referring, unless you're changing.
I have to go with non-referring.
4-3.
So 4-3.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter because we're outnumbered, but it's just a stance.
This is a grand idea. I love the idea of trying to do something to save the, but just starting on,
Ground zero.
yeah, leaf blowers of all things. You guys talking about chemtrails.
With people that have been in business for 30 years. It's
But we-
a mountain.
I get it, I understand.
I think that we could address just the noise part of this.
I agree
And if we
with the
address
noise.
just the noise part of it, we could address it for all lawn equipment. We don't have to, because.
Well, that's my other
chainsaws
point.
and all of them are.
If we're gonna do one, how come we're not doing chainsaws
That's
and
because the way it was
everything?
presented to us. I mean, we didn't.
Yeah, all right, okay. I mean, I guarantee you, a chainsaw runs way louder than a leaf blower.
Yeah, it does.
And longer.
But the point is that we can make that decision, is the action we want to take for this particular item. We have that choice. We don't have to be exactly limited to putting the table here. So we want to have a discussion about just the noise aspects of this.
Yes.
And if we want to have a discussion about tightening up the noise ordinance to allow that to happen, then I think that's one viable outcome of this particular item. Again, I'd like to have that kind of discussion, looking more specifically at the options, done by a special Zoom meeting where we could discuss just
I
this
think
one
the
item.
noise thing is where we should start. I think the noise thing would probably be the smartest thing to do right now, because it would appease some people. And
Not
it would-
really.
Well,
I know what you're saying.
and
In a
it's gonna,
perfect world, it
and
would
it's gonna take the heat off of these guys thinking that we're trying to
cut their
cut their livelihood out
Yep.
from under them.
Yep.
So if we came up with a hours noise ordinance, like an update, I know the noise ordinance, an update to the noise ordinance, so we can at least keep this thing not alive, but show that we put the work in, did something.
So we've agreed to re-refer it. Before we adjourn, have a vote to adjourn, are we agreed that we'll have a special meeting to discuss this
Yes.
by Zoom?
Yes.
And I will reach out to all of you to try to determine a good time for that.
Yeah.
And we agreed that one of the tasks of the working group between now and then, and everybody else, if they are so inclined, would be to start to look at some of these options, and maybe specifically focusing on noise. But
Yeah.
whatever we think might be alternative
Yeah.
options to push this a little bit toward a positive conclusion from the point of view of the proponents.
But one thing, what I learned in the psychology field is the definition of learning is changed behavior. And what I've learned is when I see a gas-powered leaf blower, I'm running for the hills. I'm like, because I'm older than 65, John. I know you're surprised at that. So I'm at a high.
Funny what I hear when it's like a moth to a lake.
Peter, if a vote is taken to table,
We're not taking a vote to table.
no, I'm asking some questions.
Oh, okay.
If a vote is taken to table, you can't pick it back up until a new session, is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
But if a vote is taken to no action, you can pick it up at any time? Which is it? One says you can re-pick it up at any time, one says you can't touch it for another session.
We don't know.
Table,
I
you
can't
can
give you the final answer to that.
You could take something off the table.
If it's
They're
tabled.
different?
Yeah. If you table
So if
something, you can take it back off the table.
If you table something, you can't touch it for, so if you were to vote to table this, it kills this ordinance and anything involving leaf gas powered blowers for the session. But if you vote to take no action, I'm curious what the difference
I
is.
think the opposite is true.
Well,
I do too.
we're not doing either, so.
Yeah.
it's-
You're not doing it either right
I'll-
now, but what
figure
you're
it out.
talking about is very different, right? So you all just talked about doing an ordinance for, about surrounding around noise.
Yep.
If I'm one of them, and I find out you're having a Zoom to have this discussion, I'm gonna look at that as you're trying to cut me out of the discussion.
Why? They could join the Zoom?
I'm just telling you how I would feel if I was one of them. That's how I would feel. So now I'm concerned even more that you're moving forward. But if you said, I'm gonna take no action, meaning we're not gonna take an action on this, but we're gonna take an action on something similar, then you take some of that away. As just a suggestion, that's what you can't now because you've already voted to re-refer it, so you can do it another time. But then you can change the verbiage in which you talk about this. That's just a suggestion to me. You may want to still have a conversation about gas leaf powered blowers, and that's fine.
Are you suggesting that as a consequence of this particular item, if we decided to address it by amending the noise ordinance, that you don't think that would be legitimate?
No, what I'm suggesting is that you are not, that the intention, if the intention is going to go away from limiting the use of gas-powered leaf blowers.
Which that would be noise ordinance.
No, because what you just talked about had nothing to do with just the leaf blowers. I heard the word chainsaws brought up, I heard.
Well, there's nothing to say that we can't take an action that includes leaf blowers and something else.
So I think it's a discussion worth having, that if you don't think you can get the consensus that singles out leaf blowers, a way to reassure people that you're not going after leaf blowers is to take no action and then change the words, because that's all they're hearing right now. Is
We can talk about.
What do you mean change the word? Start a whole new?
Yeah, you can
What
start.
you're saying is all they hear is banned. No more. The only way they know is
Start
banned.
a new discussion surrounding Sundays, or 7 to 7 and no Sundays, or
Ban is
whatever.
not in the word.
But that's what they're. It's right, it's not in there, but it's what they.
That's what they
hear,
that
that's
was
what they
brought to the RTM as. You put the words here, but what was brought to the RTM was to ban gas-powered
I don't
leaf
think so. I
blowers.
think that letter said limit also.
Well, the first presentation, that's what the guy was saying.
That's what the guy may have said, but the letter that was sent to the RTM.
So my suggestion, and I'm not telling, you guys do what you want to do,
Yeah, we are.
but this is going to be a tough 6 months. If you vote to take no action and
I suggested that,
digest whichever it is, I don't know which one it is. One allows you to pick it up at any time, one doesn't. I don't know which one it is.
I think tabling is, you could pick it up again.
And you,
I think
you
table, you
have,
can pick it up.
you as a group decide what is a different way we want to attack this, whether it's time or whatever.
Raise your hand.
What I'm saying is that if we
leave that
have that
option.
option without taking no action or tabling it,
You just keep re-referring
just
it.
keep
No,
working on it.
I mean, and that's fine. And you keep going at it. Listen, the noise doesn't bother me.
If you keep going at it and you keep having it on the agenda and they keep seeing it, they're gonna keep coming.
Yeah, but I like it when they come. It's democracy at its finest.
It
You're
just-
not,
it's-
but
Yes,
you're not,
but you already talked about having
you're
Zoom.
trying to calm these guys down.
You already
Job
talked
is
about
in
having a
in
Zoom.
jeopardy and you're
You
coming
already talked
after
about
me.
going
Push
against
their vote.
democracy by having a
People on
Zoom.
both sides
To
of that
keep,
equation.
so you could have a
Obviously, we had
discussion without the
huge bunch of
interruption.
people. Again,
You already
I didn't
did
say-
it.
there are a huge bunch of
You
people.
already did it.
Touche.
On the other.
I get
That's
it.
why I said
So,
that.
I get it.
any way you look at it,
So
I
don't,
think.
I don't
Well, the people that are
we need to
for
address
it,
it, even if it's in a limited way, even if we just
So
do noise.
tabling in parliamentary procedure is a temporary procedure move set
Yep.
aside a motion,
That's
set aside a
table.
motion to address more urgent business. Take no action usually means the item dies due to lack of second, a vote, or time to consider. So if we table it, we can come back to it. If we take no action,
Yeah, but we're gonna do that anyway.
Tabling,
I know.
we're not gonna take no action, and tabling
Yeah.
would just be pushing the ball, down.
And that's different than re-referring. That's
It's
taking.
the same as that
Referring
thing just
just means that we're still
It's stay on
talking
the
about it.
end, it's still on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
but tabling it, it's no longer on the agenda?
If we take no action.
No, tabling means we can come
But
back.
it's still,
we
so
can-
it's the same thing? It's
Yeah, we're gonna do that anyway.
We just don't have to do it in the next session.
Gotcha.
But
Are we
so we're-
taking new business, or are we done?
did I?
We haven't adjourned
No,
yet.
it's not, I just have a question.
Well, yeah, so we've agreed we're gonna have a special session?
Yes.
Okay. Question?
Harbor Master?
Yeah.
What's the story with that? How, are we moving on that? Is it?
You talking about the Harbor Management Commission, or are you talking
The
about the Harbor
commission,
Master?
the commission, the thing that we approved.
Josh has in front of the Board
Wednesday,
of Selectmen,
tomorrow,
Yep.
we will
list of
appoint
people.
the 9 people to that body.
Wonderful. So is Supa on there?
He cannot be on there
Why?
because he is the harbor master.
Oh, shit. He wrote a
And
letter.
we need a harbor master while
Does he know that?
Well, I haven't had a conversation with him,
Oh, yeah.
But
but
Trish, he could get on it, there's gonna be
he
turnover.
can get on
Okay, good.
afterwards.
Yeah, okay, because he
Once
was,
he's off, he can-
you know, we owe him such a debt because he did so much work.
Are you
That's all.
speaking of that, though, have you talked about getting a new harbor master?
Well, I mean, that's, that'll be up to the harbor commission.
No, it's not, it's a state
Well, but
thing that the town does
under
with the
the
state.
guise of the harbor commission's authority, they can find the new harbor master and then have
I
deep
don't think that was what the ordinance said. I don't think they can do it that way. I think that you have to work with the state
We'll
to do
we'll
it.
figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, but we need to find the person. The point is, we need to find the person.
Sean,
Yeah,
you can do it.
I would love to do it.
That'd be awesome.
Adjourn, are we adjourning?
I hope so.
I do have one other thing.
Okay. Should've
To,
spoken faster.
to Mr. Brooks's point there, if we do have a secret meeting, it will be taken as if we were trying to hide something.
Why do you think it would be
Well,
secret?
because, again, I know half those people, I know half
not
of them
gonna be
did not graduate high school.
They're not
So,
going to get on Zoom.
they're not gonna, well, they'll get on Zoom,
Oh,
but,
They can't speak, that's gonna be the problem.
yeah,
I mean, we can have a meeting
I-
here
I-
until.
I'm not opposed to having a Zoom
until the
meeting.
ordinance, that we're not gonna be listening to having.
well, then, yes, so we could do that.
But that would be a shit show.
It would be, but it would be open and,
then just keep it the same. And maybe that will lead to tabling it, taking it up under a noise ordinance. And that will get them to say, we're not gonna take our jobs away, and that they're just gonna limit the hours.
And if-
And then we let the state of Connecticut get their act together.
And the
deal
guy,
with
and the
it.
guys that I've talked to,
I like
they're
that.
all about a noise, they don't care about a noise ordinance. They'll work around a noise ordinance.
They'll respect it.
They'll respect it. They've said that 1,000%. It's just that,
So
Maybe
what-
that's
what-
the plan.
What you're suggesting is we just wait till the next meeting, basically.
Correct.
Till the
Yeah.
next meeting. But when we address this item, we don't ask for public comment. We just discuss the
We discuss,
possibilities and.
we could have a Zoom meeting discussing the options that we want to bring up.
and then have the public meeting and say, these are the options.
We can't have a Zoom meeting like that. You mean a private Zoom meeting?
Correct.
We can't do that.
Oh, okay, right.
All right, so we
May I
do
make a
it.
motion that we don't have a special meeting until we have an agenda for it? Because right now, what will we talk about? We don't know, because we're going to explore ideas, right? So we
talk
can't
about the
come
noise.
together and talk about.
Let's do
our
this for the moment. Let's forget about the special meeting, wait till the next meeting.
Yep.
But in the meantime, why don't each one of us
Yep.
make a list of actions that could be taken. They could be suggestions to the town, they can be recommendations.
I like it.
They can be talking about education, they can be talking about incentives, whatever. A list of things short of writing a regulation that bans the use of gas-fired equipment. Just make a list. And then we can have a discussion of, each one of us can contribute to that list. It'd probably be nice if you shared it in advance, because then we could have a consolidated list of ideas to talk about.
Yep.
So our next meeting is a month from now, right?
Yep. And it's gonna be in budget, we're gonna get into the budget period.
So where were we? We're March, so that's April
21st.
3rd, right? The 3rd, April 21st.
That will be our budget meeting, right?
I will.
Really,
It
yes.
is April 21st.
But that's okay, because then
That'll be-
that'll quash some. of the-
that'll put the temperature down.
And it takes, usually our particular items that we have to address are pretty quick and not controversial.
Yeah,
The people we
yeah,
have
for the
come to
budget,
talk
yeah. I like our
budget, so-
budget sessions, they're pretty good.
Yeah, so,
Oh, fuck.
Oh dear.
Oh, boy. That escalated.
Sorry, I just saw.
you want to share with us?
No, I just saw someone died.
Oh
That's too
no.
bad.
Somebody we know?
My neighbor, the one that lives in Janet's old house, just passed away.
Oh,
She was sick. She had cancer.
oh. How old?
You want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we adjourning?
Adjourn.
Yes, I think.
Second.
We voted to adjourn.
10 PM, adjourned.